that brought an historic end to round 2 in Gothenburg, Sweden, failed to dampen the spirits of Australia's Chris Holder on the podium. The stoppage of the meeting after 16 heats was a first for the series, and it was the decisive win for Holder in Heat 11 over Greg Hancock that gave him his second GP win on the countback over the American. Track conditions were slippery but raceable, as Pedersen and Harris proved in Heat 15. But when Antonio Lindback went down racing in Heat 16, the FIM had no choice but to call a halt on the evening.
Yeah, it's perfect. I didn't have to go out no final to win, but I had a good run through the heats and was pretty consistent, and that got me the win in the end.
Thomas Golub and Greg Hancock, with a total age of 80 years between them, both jointly lead the World Championship on 24 points, followed by Russia's Emil Sayfutdinov on 22, and round 1 winner Nicky Pedersen on 21.
It's been a tremendous start to the season for me, and my equipment's going so well, it just makes all the difference in the world when you roll up to the starting line to know that when you drop the clutch, the bike's going to go, and I got to go with it.
So the series moves from a sodden Sweden to the Markéta Stadium in Prague, Czech Republic for round 3, and it's the 15th consecutive time that the city has hosted a round of the World Championship. The beautiful city is a firm favourite as a venue for the riders and fans alike. Winner here in 2010, the current world champion Thomas Golub is coming to a track that he knows well, and he likes it a lot.
A good race for me in the Prague track, and I like this race. Every meeting is not the same, yeah? It's not the same bikes and not the same in the gates. I don't know, maybe tomorrow you must go the way.
Gothenburg not only will be remembered for the rain, but for this crash to 3-time world champion Jason Krum. Out in Sweden, but miraculously he's back and lining up for round 3.
It's okay, mate. You know, it's a bit sore, but just 2 weeks between Grand Prix, you kind of got to get going pretty quickly, and I had a lot of treatment done by my friends in the hockey club at Linköping, so it was a big help, and I've done a couple of meetings since, so should be all right, I hope.
Hello, good evening everyone. Welcome along to Prague, the Czech Republic Speedway Grand Prix, the mightiest Czech Republic Speedway Grand Prix from the Markéta Stadium here in the wonderful city of Prague in the Czech Republic. A little bit of a somber build-up to the action here tonight, though, because of the very sad passing last weekend of the Slovenian rider Matej Furjan, and there will be some silence to observe and respect the memory of Matej Furjan, followed by the Czech Republic national anthem. But for now, a moment's silence to remember Matej Furjan from Slovenia. Matej Furjan, who passed away last weekend. On to the action now. Tonight we build up. Jan Stegman, the former Danish international, is alongside me. Good evening, Jan.
Good evening, Nigel. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this fabulous Markéta Stadium. Fabulous backdrop. The riders are getting ready. It's going to be a good night.
Yeah, good crowd here tonight. Always very passionate about their speedway. Time for the Czech Republic national anthem. Time to build up to the action then here in the Markéta Stadium. We'll introduce you now to the 18 riders in the Grand Prix, the third round of the 2011 World Individual Speedway Championship. We start with the two reserves, Zednek Samsomota, who is very, very fast on his day, known as Samsomota because of his status in terms of loving Sam Ermolenko, the American legend. He regards Sam as one of his all-time favourites. Lucas Trimmel at reserve, Jan. Are you surprised that he's only reserved tonight?
Yeah, he's definitely good enough to get the wildcard himself, but obviously the Czech Federation and the organisers have decided that it's got to go to this guy.
Mate Kuš is the wild card, a man who is in his fourth Grand Prix tonight, rides for Red Car Bears, which is in the second division of English Speedway, or British Speedway, I should say. Yanis Kolodze now had that awful crash in Leszno, but my word, he's fast rider, Jan.
He is incredibly fast. He's a very light rider, but he's having a bit of a tough time this last week or so.
Lindback, back to his best in Gothenburg.
Yeah, he was so close to winning in Gothenburg, you know, just that crash, who knows what would have happened. It'll be interesting to watch him go tonight. Yep,
Artem Laguta finding life tough in his debut Grand Prix.
He is, yeah, it's going to take him some time to settle in, I think, but, you know, he's definitely got it in him.
And what can we say about this man? Has made the move to British Speedway recently to make his diary busier and busier.
That's fantastic news for Coventry fans and for Speedway fans worldwide, really.
Freddie Lindgren in great form all over Europe in the leagues. Can he transform that into the Grand Prix?
Well, you know, this is it. This is the next step for Freddie. You know, he needs a GP win.
And what can we say about this man? A man you know very well, Jan.
That's it, yeah. Nicky's on very good form at the moment. He had a bit of a crash in Poland last week, but he's come back with a vengeance.
And Andreas Jonsson, he has been finding life tough in the opening couple of rounds of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, change of frame setup. It's not really been going his way too much, but they're starting to figure it out.
And Chris Holder, who won that GP in Gothenburg, which was stopped after 16 heats.
Fabulous rider. He's really on top form at the moment.
And Kenneth Pierre, a rider you've worked with in the Danish national side.
Certainly have, yeah. He's finding time a little bit tough. You know, he's got some problems with his machinery, but hopefully he's got it figured out now.
Chris Harris has found life a little bit tough so far this season.
Yeah, there's a few riders that have been down on their luck, but you know, Chris is a seasoned campaigner. He'll bounce back.
British rider, the only British rider in the lineup, and Greg Hancock, the only American in the lineup.
I know, yeah, he's 41 next week, you know, and he's riding like somebody 20 years younger.
Yeah, gets a great reception from the Prague crowd here. Greg Hancock, Rune Holter, who he had a crash a couple of weeks or so ago.
Yeah, it was a big crash. He hurt both his wrists, but I think he's getting back to form now.
Talking of crashes, Jason Crump in Gothenburg, dislocated shoulder, but he's ridden 2 meetings since.
Hard as nails is Jason. They were both televised meetings, and he was on top form, scoring lots of points.
Yeah, hugely focused individual, the triple world champion, Jason Crump. Jarek Kampel now. We can but wonder what sort of meeting he'll have tonight. 6th place going into tonight.
Yeah, he's got a very impressive record here at Prague, so it'll be interesting to watch him go.
And what can we say about the reigning world champion, this man, Mr. Golub?
No further introduction necessary. He likes this track, he said so in the VT, so yeah, bring it on.
Yep, won here last year and in 1999 as well, Tomasz Golub. So he knows what it's all about. Let's take a look at the lineup for the first 4 races here tonight then, in the Markéta Stadium.
Antonio Lindbäck.
Had a great night in Gothenburg. What will he do tonight? Rune Holter had that crash a couple of weeks ago, but back to fitness. Won in Gothenburg in great form.
Andreas Jonsson.
Needs a big night tonight.
Tomasz Golub.
Joint leader of the World Championship alongside Greg Hancock. Looking to hold on to his top 8 spot.
Kenneth Pierre.
What will he do tonight after a miserable night a fortnight ago? Looking to add to his points total.
Freddie Lindgren.
Was denied a place in the final in Leszno 4 weeks ago by a crash in the semi-final. Nicky Pedersen, a busier diary this time around.
Jason Crump.
Back in business with 2 meetings in Poland and Sweden. And Harris, who struggled with an eye infection and a back injury so far this season. A good record round here for Hampel. Let's see how he gets on tonight. He'll be a little bit nervous with the home fans following him.
Emil Seifudinov.
And he had a bad crash here last year. Will that play on his mind?
Greg Hancock.
Been there and seen it all before and ever present in the Grand Prix series from 1995 when this series started. We're all set up. The riders are all ready to race. They're down in the pits area, all set. Antonio Lindback, a picture of determination. And there will be some nerves down there in the pits now. Jan, what's it like ahead of the first race of the night?
Well, you're just sitting there trying to get focused. You want to get out there, get up to the tapes, find the perfect spot for you. Get up early, find the perfect spot, and then watch the tapes and hopefully get off to a good start. It's everybody's aim to get off to a good first race. It kind of settles the nerves a little bit and sort of sets the scene for the rest of the night.
Are there more nerves for the riders going out in the first race than, say, heats 2, 3 or 4? First race of the night?
I don't think so. You know, I always like the first race because the track's bound to be at its best then, and the others will be watching on the sideline, seeing how everything pans out and see what the track's like.
Well, they'll be pushing off very shortly to get us underway here in the Markéta Stadium in Prague. The Grand Prix, of course, is set to strict time schedules, runs like clockwork most of the time, and we build up to what is an appetising heat number 1, an interesting first race, and Andreas Jonsson, the man we see there in red, absolutely desperate for a big night tonight because he is currently 12th in the standings after 2 rounds of the 2011 series. And Jan, we're up to round 3, so for riders like Andreas Jonsson, after tonight we'll be a quarter of the way through the series, so he can't afford to be any further adrift tonight.
No, exactly. There's actually a lot on the line for quite a few of these riders tonight. A few of the front runners had a bit of a stinker at Gothenburg, to be honest. And just talking of the stats, this is actually Andreas's 500th GP race. He's off the inside, so he'll be happy with his draw because the stats are, you know, not the best here at Prague. It's always heavily weighted towards the inside.
It's a humid evening here in Prague. Chris Holder, the man in the blue helmet colour, going back for 1 or 2 last-minute adjustments down by the pits area. But what a season he's had so far. 9 points in Leszno, 10 points in Gothenburg to win the meeting that was cut short by the rain. What will happen here in heat number 1?
It actually looks like Chris Holder's got new collars on.
Yep. New Kevlars, new bike covers. It's a new look Chris Holder tonight then.
Yeah, there was not much wrong with the old one. He's a very fast guy on his day.
Heat number 1 is coming up then. Important for all these riders to get off to a good start. First race of the night then, and Andreas Jonsson goes off the inside in the red helmet colour. Chris Holder, winner in Gothenburg a fortnight ago, he goes off gate number 2. Rune Holter off gate 3. Holter currently in, 13th place in the World Championship, so needs a big night tonight. And Antonio Lindback, who had a terrific night in Gothenburg a couple of weeks or so ago, he goes off the outside. Only got a point in Leszno, 9 points in Gothenburg. Pedersen watching on. The nerves will be jangling here ahead of the first race of the night, the 2011 Czech Republic Speedway Grand Prix. That man under pressure, Andreas Jonsson, well out of the top 8 at the moment. We wait for the green light. It comes on, and now the bikes roar, and who's going to make the best start? There was a bit of movement there early on at the start, and Holder and Jonsson, oh, they hit each other going into that first turn, and now Jonsson holds that second place. Third in white is Rune Holter, but Lindback's coming up the inside. That was a tough first turn. Chris Holder and Andreas Jonsson, it was amazing how they stayed on their bike there, yeah.
Incredible first corner. They all bunched up together, and Chris Holder seemed to draw the benefit from that, just creeping around the curb, taking full advantage of it, and he's out in front.
It was a tough first turn, but Holder prevailed as he came through. Chris Holder, 9 points in Leszno, 10 points in Gothenburg, and it looks like he's going to make a good start here tonight. Had a little bit of illness earlier in the week, missed a meeting in England, missed the meeting in Sweden on Tuesday as well, but there's no problems here. He's looking very smooth. Andreas Jonsson second, Antonio Lindback is third, and Rune Holter is trailing at the back, but into the last lap, Holder's got it under control, yeah.
He certainly does. They're getting a bit spread out now, but look at Rune Holter. He's getting on the inside of Antonio Lindback.
Yep, a real battle at the back here. Yep, good ride indeed from Rune Holter. Lindback is going up the inside as well. There's a battle for a point here. Holder wins the race. Jonsson second, and Lindback prevailed to come through into third place there in the first race of the night. That just underlines how vital every single point is. There was a battle in that first turn and for third place as well. And those two clashed in that first turn. Can't wait to see a replay of that.
No, it should be good to see. It's always difficult to pass here at Prague, let alone in the first race.
So the result of heat number 1 then here of the Czech Republic Grand Prix, and it's a win for Chris Holder with Andreas Jonsson second. Antonio Lindback was third there after a battle with Rune Holter. But Chris Holder comes through after a little collision in that first turn. It's a fair way from the start to the first turn, and it was a tough opening to that race. Jan Stegman.
It certainly was. We'll be seeing the replay shortly, and here we come. Look at Rune Holter off gate 3. He lifts. He's got far too much lift on the bike, yet he has a pretty good start. Jonsson clips the curb going into the corner, and Holder's there in front of him. Here we see it from the back. Holder makes a perfect start. Jonsson clips the curb, just gives him a bit of an elbow. And Nicky's ready in the pits. Yeah. He's made that start. And here we have Holter coming up on the inside of Lindback. Just gets to drive, gets his wheels in line, gets to drive coming off the corner and passes him nicely. And there's Holder.
But of course, to return the compliment in third place, Lindback in the end. Chris Holder's a happy man. It's a winning start. And Jan, remember, he didn't qualify in Lezhno for the semi-final because he didn't win a race. So I think he's learned a lesson, hasn't he?
He's got that one out of the way.
So, heat number 2 coming up. I can tell you that Tomáš Golob has already changed bike from the one that he was originally going to use in this race. Heat number 2. Artem Laguta will be the rider in red off the inside, and what a baptism of fire it's been for the youngster. Just 1 Grand Prix point to his name so far from 2 meetings. It really is a grueling Grand Prix series for these riders in 2011. Heat number 2 then, here's the lineup. Going off the inside is Artem Laguta from Russia in his debut Grand Prix campaign. Kenneth Bier goes off gate 2. In the blue helmet colour, needs to bounce back after the disappointment of Gothenburg a fortnight ago, the King's Lynn Stars rider. And then Jonas Kolodze goes off gate 3. And Tomáš Golob, the world champion, going off the outside. Laguta only 1 point in the series, and Tomáš Golob joint leader with Greg Hancock. He could do with a good start tonight.
He certainly could. He's off gate 4, which is not the favoured gate. We just have a quick look at the start box that he's in. He's actually in towards gate 3 a bit.
Heat number 2 it is then here in Prague. What can the world champion do off the outside? Again, a nervy, edgy start. And down into that first turn. Golob has swept across his rivals. Laguta's in red, Bier's in blue in third place, and Kolodze is trailing at the back right now. The lead, though, is with Tomáš Golob. Bier battles round, and the Dane gets the better here of Artem Laguta. Decent race on. Bier's on the pace. He could push Golob here.
That's a fantastic start from Golob off gate 4. We got Kenneth Bier right around the inside. You know, he's just waiting for that one mistake from Tomáš Golob, but knowing the old wily campaigner that Golob is, he's not going to be making one. Has a cheeky look over his shoulder there. Laguta's chasing in third. That'll be a hard-earned point for him.
But to be fair, Bier is pushing Tomáš Golob here. He's giving him something to think about.
He certainly is.
Into turn 3 and 4 on lap number 3 here, and Tomáš Golob, who won here last year, and also won here in 1999. He knows the winning format around here in Prague, and Golob the pole has that lead with Kenneth Bier still on the pace, and Bier will have to go high and wide here. Will Golob make a mistake? He's a world champion. He doesn't make mistakes. Down to the finish line, Golob gets off to a winning start. Kenneth Bier second. Third place was Artem Laguta, and Jonas Kolodze will be bitterly disappointed that he only managed the last place there. He's a fast rider, Kolodze, but he wasn't fast enough there. But that man, Tomáš Golob, was very impressive.
Well, that was a masterclass in gating off gate 4 there. It's not a favoured gate here in Prague, but he certainly made it look easy.
Well, when you wait for a mistake from Tomáš Golob, it's a long wait. Tomáš Golob, the winner. Kenneth Bier was second. Artem Laguta was third. Jonas Kolodze trailing in at the back, disappointingly for the pole there. But Tomáš Golob joins Chris Holder as a winner in the opening 4 races here. 2 gone, 2 to go for the opening round of races here. And Golob did it from the start, but it was a nervy start as well.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a twitch from Golob. That just shows that he's really on it this evening. A little bit of a lock-up there in the middle of the corner. Laguta's got the second place. Kenneth Bier's got him lined up. Here we see again, just feathering that clutch, keeping optimal drive on the rear wheel, going to the first corner. That's a perfect start there. The front wheel's hardly moving. Leans across the rest, and that's all she wrote. Kenneth Bier, though, like you said, Nigel, he's certainly keeping him honest, and it's interesting to note that Kenneth Bier is actually the only rider in the lineup who's riding the Czech JRM machine, so they'll be happy about that.
Yep, Golob, a happy man, 3 points to his name so far, and as we said earlier, the series leader Golub and Hancock level on 24 points apiece. And what about this man now? Jason Crump, 2 weeks ago, dislocated shoulder, and now here he is. He's ridden since in Poland and in Sweden. He spent a day testing as well in the week as well, so he's been back on a bike and done plenty of laps.
Well, we talked about it at the top of the show. We watched him on TV at the weekend in Poland and also in Sweden on the Tuesday. And I'll tell you what, Nigel, you wouldn't know that he'd been away.
Amazing characters, these speedway riders. They're so courageous. Battle through the pain barrier. Team Crump watching on in the pits area. Jason, a determined man. It's a big night for him tonight because he's got 11 points and he's just seen Tomáš Golub win his opening race, and Crump needs a big night here. So does Chris Harris off the inside. Jason Crump off gate 2. Nicky Pedersen goes off gate 3. And going off the outside is Freddie Lindgren. He's in the top 8 right now. Nicky Pedersen's currently 4th in the standings, but Chris Harris is out of the top 8 and 11th ahead of tonight's meeting. What can Jason Crump do here? It's a big lineup. 2 former world champions in Crump and Pedersen here. It's a big heat number 3. A titanic tussle ahead. I'm sure of that as we wait for the green light. And the tapes rise, and away from the start, it's a beauty from Jason Crump in gate number 2. Now Pedersen will dive up the inside. Coming around into 3rd, Freddie Lindgren is pushing Harris, but he's held his line. As the sun beats down here in Prague, Jason Crump has got the race under control. Lindgren has come through into 3rd place to get the better of Chris Harris. And now Lindgren will charge after Nicky Pedersen as well. We've got a good race developing here.
We certainly do. Crump made a fantastic start off gate 2. Nicky Pedersen was there with him on the first corner. But
Harris has retired at the back. His race is over.
yeah, that's a shame for Chris. He's had a torrid time. Lindgren's after Pedersen.
Yep, and Crump has this race well and truly under control. Harris can't believe what's happened there. A nightmare start for Chris Harris. Jason Crump, though, has that lead. Nicky Pedersen under a little bit of pressure here from Freddie Lindgren. They're heading into the last lap now, and Jason Crump has this race very firmly in his own hands now. Pedersen holds 2nd slot. 3rd is Freddie Lindgren, and it looks as though that may well be the way this race is going to end up. Jason Crump 2 weeks ago in hospital in Gothenburg, having his shoulder put back in, and here he is, winning his opening race of the night in Prague. What an effort, what a man, a true triple world champion. But for Chris Harris, it's back to the drawing board and a case of what might have been. But you have to take your hat off to this man, Jan.
Absolutely, you wouldn't know that he'd been injured just like you said a couple of weeks ago at the last Grand Prix. Electric start, as you'd expect. Jason goes really well around here.
Yep, Jason Crump knows what it's all about. 3-time winner in Prague, and he's won the race there. Nicky Pedersen was 2nd, with Freddie Lindgren 3rd, and Chris Harris retired with bike problems. He'll be frustrated with that. But Jason Crump made an absolute dream start, and he'll be a happy man back in the pits area after a wonderful getaway from gate number 2.
Yeah, just look at these pictures here. Perfect start from Jason. Just touches the clutch once. Nicky in the white helmet colour, tucks in behind him. Chris Harris at this point is in 3rd place. Jason gets his wheels in line, and away he goes. Nicky keeps lifting a little bit going into the first turn, gets him slightly past the corner. He cuts back, gets up the inside, and he's on Jason's tail. There we have Chris Harris. Unfortunate engine failure. There's a long walk back to the pits.
It certainly is. It's a nightmare start for Chris Harris, but Jason Crump on top form there. And look what it means to him.
He's happy about that one.
Yeah, quite right too. And Drew Street alongside Jason there in the pits area. So far the winners, Chris Holder, Tomáš Golub and Jason Crump are the heat winners. But for Chris Harris, it's back to the drawing board, trying to assess exactly what the problem was. And we move on to heat number 4 here in the Czech Republic. And after this race, every rider will have completed 1 outing so far. Greg Hancock, joint leader of the World Championship before tonight, alongside Golub on 24 points apiece, and he's already seen Tomáš Golub take victory in his opening race. Here's the lineup then for heat number 4. Greg Hancock going off the inside. He's 41 years of age next week. Emil Sayfudinov goes off gate 2 in blue. Matej Kush, the wild card, has changed bikes. He goes off gate number 3. And Jarek Hampel, who's got a good record at the Markéta Stadium, he goes off the outside in yellow.
Gate 2 and 1, they seem to have been the best ones so far, although we have seen a race winner off gate 4. You'd be hard pressed to look much further than Hancock or Sayfudinov.
Well,
having said that, Hampel's on the outside and he has got a fantastic record around here.
Sure, so heat number 4 it is. Which way will this one go as the bikes roar? And it's a good start from Greg Hancock off the inside. Now can Hampel sweep around? Hancock holds a superb line, but Hampel's got plenty of pace down that back straight. Hancock closes the door. That was a wonderful move from Greg Hancock. It was hard but fair. Hampel is second. Third place now is Sayfutdinov. He's going to chase hard after the front two as well. Matej Kuš is trailing at the back, but Greg Hancock had to use all his experience there, Jan.
It certainly did, but he, like he said at the top of the show, he's got some good bikes, a good setup, a good team around him, and he's shown it. He's out in front, and he's keeping the others honest.
Well, he closed the door on Hampel, who was very quick there, and Sayfutdinov in third place is still very much on the pace. He's gaining ground on Jarek Hampel. Decent race emerging here as Sayfutdinov hits turn 3 and 4, but just lost a bit of ground there. Greg Hancock has the race under control right now. He's looking good. He won here in 1997, and that was the year that he won his one and only World Individual Championship, Greg Hancock. And he's seen Tomáš Golob, joint series leader, take the checkered flag in his opening ride, and Greg Hancock has won his opener as well. What a start for the American. Second place in yellow was Jarek Hampel, third was Emil Sayfutdinov, and third place there, fourth place there, Matej Kuš. Disappointment for the wild card, but Greg Hancock, absolutely stunning stuff. And the older boys teaching the youngsters here, Golob and Hancock, 80 years between them, and joint leaders of the World Championship. Heat 4 then. The result, Greg Hancock the winner, Jarek Hampel was second, Emil Sayfutdinov was third, Matej Kuš trailing at the back there, heat number 4, and Greg Hancock simply superb. Now we see the 4 race winners lead the Grand Prix, Golob, Crump, Hancock and Chris Holder. Richard Child congratulates Greg Hancock on a wonderful ride. It was hard work, but he got there.
Just look at him coming off gate 1 here. Absolutely fantastic start from Hancock. Hampel's there with him off gate 4. Just not quite enough room in there for him. He's getting a good run on the outside, gets his wheels in line quickly, and just runs out of room there. Gets squeezed up along the fence.
A few nerves at the start line, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's been movement in almost every race. Here we see Sayfutdinov feathering the clutch all the way to the first turn. Matej Kuš is already out of it.
4 races gone here then, so
Hampel
far.
just chucking in his arm to get past Hancock's back mudguard there.
Yep.
He's getting a good run on the outside. Here we see it from the back. Oh, there's not a lot of room there, is there?
But that was fair by Greg, though, wasn't it? There was nothing dirty about that.
No, absolutely not. Greg's probably one of the fairest riders, if not the fairest riders in World Speedway.
Well, he held the line, and he was entitled to it, and he won the race. Well, it is amazing to think that Greg Hancock is an ever-present in the World Championship. The master teaching the pupil there. Sayfutdinov third place. Hancock takes the victory, and Greg now in his 136th Grand Prix, and he's just scored his 1,667th Grand Prix point. Absolutely amazing stuff.
Well, yeah, I'm speechless, to be honest. You know, you wouldn't even know how, you know, like you said, he's 41 years old next week. You know, he should be thinking about retirement. He should be out there winning races.
There's no signs of that from him or Golob. They're talking about going on for years, aren't they?
Yeah, good for them. Good for them.
Beautiful city of Prague, always a popular venue for the SGP, with both riders and supporters. Beautiful city.
Fabulous backdrop.
Yep, absolutely. Bit of sunshine here tonight as well. And let's head down to the pits area for some reaction with our man Steve Brandon. Steve.
Greg Hancock, you watched the highlights there of Heat 4. You like what you saw?
Yeah, of course. For me, it's what, as my buddies would call it, a top-notch start, so just got to keep it rolling.
And all the experience to keep Jarek on the outside on the back straight.
Yeah, that's right. I saw him coming around there, too, so I thought I got to quickly close the door as much as possible and, you know, keep the area in front of me clear, which I did, and, yeah, I got a win, so it's a good start.
And looking at Heat 1 and Heat 4, Greg Holder, Chris Hancock leading the way again.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's, you know, we're all going for the same thing, but, you know, it seems like a repeat of Gothenburg right now, but let's see what happens later.
Much better weather, though.
Oh, absolutely. This is the way to go. Got to keep it that way.
Thanks.
Good stuff from Greg Hancock. Always seems to have a smile on his face. He's such a hugely popular rider, and, well, to see him at the top of the standings alongside Tomáš Golob is absolutely superb. The question is, can he keep it going for the rest of the season? This round 3 of 11, so it's a long season.
It is a long season. It is a long season. I've got every faith in Greg that he can keep it going. You know, we said last year how impressive he was, and it seems like he's just pretty much taken off.
Terrific rider. Kept himself very, very fit as well. You're riding well, Chris Holder. Good to see him. And let's take a look at the next 4 heats now.
Nicky Pedersen.
Second place in his opening ride for Nicky. He got a point and he'll be boosted by that.
Andreas Jonsson.
Desperate for a semi-final spot tonight, the Swede.
Jarek Hampel.
On the pace with Hancock, but just squeezed down in his opening ride.
Janusz Koji.
A surprising last place first up for Janusz.
Chris Holder.
3 points out of a possible 3. Good stuff.
Chris Harris.
Hoping to complete 4 laps this time without any mechanical gremlins.
Emil Seifudinov.
1 point to his name so far for Seifudinov.
Rune Holter.
A surprising last place for Rune Holter after a battle with Limbach.
Kenneth Beer.
2 points is a solid foundation to build on.
Greg Hancock.
We just saw him with that excellent ride in Heat 4.
Jason Crump.
A winner first time out. Excellent speedway from him.
Matěj Kus.
Finding it hard as the wild card. No surprise there.
Freddie Lindgren.
Just the 1 point. He'll be desperate to build on that.
Tomasz Goll.
An immaculate ride first time out.
Antonio Lindbäck.
Just the 1 point, and that was hard fought by the Swede. Every rider has now completed 1 ride here in the Markéta Stadium. It's very, very fast. That's one thing you can say about this track, Jan. It's a very quick track here.
It is. It's very fast, like you said. You know, it's very slick as well, very flat. There's even a little bit of adverse camber on the first corner, so you don't really want to go too wide on the first corner. You can in turn 3 and 4. We heard at the top of the show some comments that Gola was all the way out by the fence in practice yesterday. But I think it's a little bit too slick for that right now. It might make some dirt a bit later on, but unfortunately it does look very, very slick.
Well, heat number 5 coming up then, and 3 of these riders have got 2 points to their names so far. Artem Laguta has got just the 1 point to his name now. So heat number 5 coming up as we start the second round of races for each rider here in Prague. So here's your lineup for Heat 5 then. Jarek Hampel going off the inside. One of those riders with 2 points to his name, as is Andreas Jonsson off gate 2 from Sweden. Gate 3 is Artem Laguta, the young Russian, and off the outside, triple world champion Nicky Pedersen in the yellow helmet colour. How hard is it from gate number 4, Jan? It's a long way to that first turn.
You know, gate 4 has not been that bad tonight, really. I kind of contradicted myself a little bit. It seems like the inside gates are better, but it is always a hard slog from gate 4 here in Prague.
So heat number 5 it is then, in the Czech Republic Speedway Grand Prix, the 15th staging of this meeting in the Markéta Stadium, and Pedersen's made a good start off the outside, but so has the man in red, Jarek Hampel, and Pedersen has been squeezed out. Jonsson's threatening him for second now, but they're wheel to wheel down that back straight. Jonsson holds the line, and Jonsson holds second place. Nicky Pedersen is relegated to third, but what a ride that was from Jarek Hampel. He's got lots of speed. Pedersen, you can be sure, will be wound up to try and pressurise Jonsson, and the young Russian is at the back here now.
That was a tough first corner. I mean, Nicky almost got over Hampel there. Just, yeah, close but no cigar. He had to turn off a little bit, move out a little bit, and that allowed Jonsson to get through up the inside.
Well, Jarek Hampel has got every bit of this race in his own hands now. Second place is Jonsson, but Nicky Pedersen's picking up speed here, Jan.
He certainly is. He's trying everything. He goes wide in turn 3 and 4, but there's just not enough dirt to hold him up. He has got the speed, though. He's certainly gaining on Jonsson. Well, going out wide again in turn 1 and 2. Gets his wheels in line. Just not quite enough grip there.
So Hampel has the lead, third here last year in the Markéta Stadium, and he's going to get his first win under his belt here. 5 points out of 6 for Jarek Hampel. That's a great effort from the Polish rider, second in the world last year. And as we say, on the rostrum here in Prague last time around, and that is a big win for him. And for Nicky Pedersen, well, just puts him on 3 points from 2 rides, which means that the 3 times world champion has quite a bit of work ahead of him as we confirm the result of Heat 5 for you now. Jarek Hampel, the race winner. Second place there was Andreas Jonsson. Third, Nicky Pedersen. Artem Laguta trailing at the back there in Heat number 5. And this is what it means to the standings overall. Hampel goes to the top with 5 points from 2 rides. And Andreas Jonsson, more consistent tonight with 4 points to his name, Jan.
He'll be happy with that. I was talking to Carl Blomfeld in the pits earlier. Here we go for the start first. Nicky Pedersen off gate 4 makes quite a good start. Hampel on the inside has got it though. Lee's going into the first turn. Nicky's just got to come off the throttle and move out a little bit, and that allows Jonsson up the inside. Both riders have got their wheels in line. They're drag racing down the straight. Here we go again. Hampel, he's got it covered. Nicky Pedersen just about gets past the rear wheel. It's very important. You have to get past the rider in front's rear wheel in order to have any attempt of a pass going into the first turn. Hampel had it covered.
He did. It was a good ride from Hampel.
He'll be happy with that.
Yeah, he was determined after that previous ride, wasn't he, in heat number 4 when he was squeezed out by Greg Hancock. But for Nicky Pedersen,
he won't be happy with that one at all.
No, he looks a frustrated man there. You know him as well as anybody, Jan. And back in the pits area, 3 points now as opposed to Hampel's 5. What will Nicky be thinking now at this stage?
Well, they'll be trying to get the bike sorted out, you know, trying to get the bike to hook up a little bit better. It looked like maybe the tyre was folding under him with the motions he was replicating there, but who knows?
So heat number 6 is coming up now then, as we see the brilliant young Russian Emil Sayfutdinov with just a point to his name so far. The only rider from Great Britain in the lineup, the regular Grand Prix lineup, Chris Harris. He goes off gate 2. He'll be defending his British title at Wolverhampton a week on Monday as well. Got some big competitors in that meeting. Sayfutdinov off the inside. Chris Harris off gate 2, packed up in his opening ride. Chris Holder a winner first time out. Janis Kolodze off the outside. This is heat number 6 of the Czech Grand Prix, and it's a beauty from Sayfutdinov off the inside in the red helmet. Watch out now for Chris Holder in white. He goes wide and down the back straight. That's a brilliant move from the Australian. Spectacular speedway from Chris Holder, and Emil Sayfutdinov under pressure here from Harris, and now Kolodze puts Harris under pressure. Sayfutdinov now will wind it on. He'll try and the inside line on the man in front, Chris Holder, but the Australian is looking superb here, yeah.
It's the young brigade out front. Fantastic. Chris Holder made a really good start to get in front of Sayfutdinov. Chris Harris is on the same bike that stopped on him in the last race. It's not really working at the moment by the looks of it.
No, he's third right now, Chris Harris, and he's trying desperately to pressurise Sayfutdinov. But this result for Chris Harris would put him on 6 points. Chris Holder even would put him on 6 points out of a possible 6. Harris would just get 1 point from 2 rides. Sayfutdinov needs to do a little bit better as well if he's to get through to the semi-finals. It's pretty spaced out now in the latter stages of heat number 6. Chris Holder, a man in form. Can he make it 2 GP wins in succession? You wouldn't bet against him with form like that. He is riding superbly. Chris Holder in the white helmet colour takes the checkered flag. 6 points out of a possible 6. Winner in Cardiff last year, winner in Gothenburg a fortnight ago. And Chris Holder is enjoying his speedway in only his 14th Grand Prix of his career. Remember, last year was his debut Grand Prix year, and my word, he is a top-notch GP rider now. Chris Holder the winner, Sayfutdinov was second. Chris Harris was third. Janis Kolodze trailing at the back. Surprised that Kolodze is yet to score, but Chris Holder goes to the top of the leaderboard as a maximum man. Sayfutdinov just sneaks into the top 8 now. But my word, that was close in the early stages, Jan. Keenly competitive.
Absolutely. Both young guns, here we go from the start. Sayfutdinov makes an excellent start. Doesn't even have to touch the clutch. Perfect start there. Holder comes from gate 3 in the white helmet colour. He's got the run on the outside. He's got a slightly better curvature of the corner going in. Get a smoother lather coming out, and that's it. He's gone. Another good start from Sayfutdinov. Holder's got the better entry into the corner. Got the little bit of dirt. Turns the bike, gets the wheels in line. And Sayfutdinov only stole the back of him.
So we build up now to heat number 7. And a superb ride there from Chris Holder. That was a terrific ride early on from the Australian. And now we move on to the next race. But Chris Holder, no wonder he's got a smile on his face. How on earth did he manage to pull so clear there? Sensational stuff. And he's a lively character who enjoys his speedway racing, Chris Holder. He's one of the busiest riders in the world. As we build up to heat 7 and 2 race winners head-to-head here. Jason Crump in the red helmet, Greg Hancock in the blue helmet. You've got Kenneth Bier in white, and you've got Rune Holter, who's yet to score a point. He goes off the outside now in heat number 7. Crump, Hancock, Bier and Halter, something's got to give from the inside two gates with two unbeaten riders here, yeah.
It certainly has. It's, you know, Pierre's going to be pretty happy with his first race, second place. And
he looked pretty quick, Kenneth Pierre.
He did. Yeah, he quite likes this track. But the question's going to be Halter. You know, it's very unlike him to have this kind of run of form. He's been struggling in the Swedish league as well, and in Poland on Sunday he didn't look himself either. Must be the remnants of this big crash he had.
Sure. Heat number 7 it is then. Which way will this one go? The two big guns, the winners off the inside, and it's a beautiful start from Jason Crump. That's textbook. Hancock dives up the inside now. Hancock has to take him wide, but Crump holds the line. Brilliant stuff from Jason Crump. Second place, Greg Hancock. Third is Kenneth Pierre. Rune Halter is desperately trying to come around the outside of Kenneth Pierre, but he's not going to make it. And Jason Crump looking superb here. Again, you can only marvel at the determination of Jason Crump. He's a single-minded character, and he aims for success, and he has this lead quite comfortably now over Hancock and Pierre.
It's a very impressive lead so shortly in the race. They're only on lap 3 and he's already got this one in the bag by the looks of it. Kenneth Pierre, he looks a little bit down on power, you know, he's desperately trying. Halter keeps trying the outside, but there's nothing there. It's just dust.
Yeah, Jason Crump riding in his 125th Speedway Grand Prix tonight. He's won the World Championship 3 times. Knows he needs a big display tonight to stay in contention for this year's World Championship. It's still relatively early days, round 3 of 11. But a big performance tonight will put Jason right back in contention. And he's pulled off a second straight win. Brilliant riding from Jason Crump, with Greg Hancock second, Kenneth Pierre third, and trailing at the back, Rune Halter, who has failed to score from 2 rides. Halter and Kolodze yet to score from 2 rides apiece. That's a surprise, but that man looks in top form.
He does. I mean, he's already won here a few times in Prague, and yeah, he likes the track.
So the race win then for heat number 7 was with Jason Crump. Greg Hancock was second, Kenneth Pierre in third, and Rune Halter trailing at the back there. And Jason Crump now alongside Chris Holder, 6 points out of a possible 6 for the Australian. And with Hampel and Hancock on 5 points apiece, there's a pattern emerging already about who will claim the top 8 and the places in the semi-finals. But Crump away from the start.
What a fantastic start from Jason Crump, just feathering the clutch all the way to the first turn. Hancock's there off gate 2. No, yep, there's no to go.
Superb ride from Jason Crump, and Hancock looked as though he was going to threaten at one stage there, yeah.
He did, yeah. I was just going to say, he cuts back behind Jason. Jason makes such a good start. There's plenty of room for Greg to turn back behind him. He locks up ever so slightly coming off the corners. He won't be happy with that. Gets the wheels in line, but Jason was there before him. Interestingly, Jason is the only one in the pits who's using the DEP silencer when the rest of the field are favouring the King silencer. So maybe there's a little bit of a secret there. Who knows?
Yeah, plenty of talk about the new silencers in the build-up to the new season. And what a contrast. Rune Halter yet to score. One can only feel that he must still be feeling those wrist injuries that he had in league racing a couple of weeks or so ago. It was a horrific crash, Jan.
You'd think so, yeah. I mean, it's a very unenviable record that both him and Kolodze have. 2 rides, no points. It can only get better from here on in.
As we move on to heat number 8, and we see the world champion in this race, Antonio Lindback, who got a 3rd place in his opening ride, but he's on good form at the moment, Lindback. And Golub, well, he was immaculate, wasn't he, in his opening ride?
Fabulous, yeah, fabulous. We've seen they're clearing the ruts at the start. You know, it's very important, especially here. I know we keep harping on about it, but the starts here are ultra important because we haven't seen a great deal of passing.
So, heat number 8 it is then, as we see Antonio Lindback off the inside. Thomas Golub, a winner first time out. Can he join Holder and Crump as a maximum man from 2 rides? Lindgren needing points off gate 3, and going off the outside is Mate Kush, the wild card. An important heat number 8 then here in the Markéta Stadium in Prague. Sun beating down, we're glad to say, in contrast to Gothenburg's rain a fortnight ago and a nervous, touchy start, and the red lights have come on then straight away.
I have to say the German referee, Frank Ziegler, you know, he has started holding the tapes for quite a long time. Lindgren got a little bit jumpy there, and, you know, I'm sure we'll see it in the replay. Well, here we go. Yeah. Oh, he is so lucky not to touch those tapes.
Well, Freddie Lindgren was moving so much there. Is that the problem with the clutch there, do you think?
Well, it's, you know, when the referee holds the starts, you know, we have no brakes on these bikes. It's dry clutches, and with the vibrations of the engine, you know, you're sitting there with 12,000 revs on the start line. you know, something's got to give, you know.
So he's leaving way too much time before putting the tapes up.
Yeah, you know, the riders are obviously itchy to get going, but it doesn't help, you know, when you have that many revs on the bike and a dry clutch. You know, it doesn't need much vibration for the friction to start on the plates, and that will move the bike.
All four for the restart. Confirmation from Frank Ziegler, the referee.
That's really the only outcome that ought to have been there, you know. But Freddie was so lucky not to touch him.
Was his clutch slipping there? What's your opinion?
No, I don't think so. I think it's purely the vibration from sitting on the start line with, like I said, you know, you having sort of 10, 12,000 revs on the engine there, you know, and with the dry clutches, the plates in the actual clutch starts to vibrate, and then they, you know, cause friction because they rub up against each other. Yeah, no, he does try to jump a little bit here. We can see that. This is not the vibration causing this. Yeah, there he just has a little bit of a go. Yeah, close, but no cigar.
Yeah, it looked. The reason I asked about the clutch was it looked as though he was trying to stop himself moving forward by his feet movement there.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. And like I said, you know, with the dry clutches, when you're sitting there on the start line with that many revs on the engine, the bike will eventually start to move, and that is a big problem in speedway. And it's, you know, the riders, it's a pet hate with the referee. You know, we all know some referees hold the starts longer than others. The riders are on 2 minutes. The clock's ticking now. They'll have to get ready for the rerun.
Well, we know there's a big football match elsewhere in Europe tonight, but we hope you're enjoying our coverage of the Czech Republic Speedway Grand Prix here in the beautiful city of Prague. It is a big favourite on the SGP calendar for fans and riders alike. Good crowd here in the Markéta Stadium as well. I would say it's probably a better crowd than recent years. They do love this Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's a 10,000 capacity here at Markéta, and it's only a hop, skip and a jump from Poland, so there's usually a lot of Polish fans here, but I can see some Danish flags outside, so yeah, it's like you said, it's a popular venue on the calendar.
I love it. A hop, skip and a jump, says Jan Stekman in his best Danish accent. Brilliant. As we build up to heat number 8. And Thomas Golub looking to make it 2 wins out of 2 here from gate number 2 in the blue helmet colour, and with Chris Holder and Jason Crump on 6 out of 6 so far, he'll be keen to get back with them.
And already sorry to chop you off there, already we can see on the start line that well, Lindbäck's turning back now. He won't be taking too long. There's only 44 seconds left.
Well, heat number 8 it is. Lindbäck goes off the inside then. Thomas Golub going off gate number 2. Freddie Lindgren goes off gate number 3, and Mate Kush off the outside, the wild card. Mate Kush, it's a tall order for him against the likes of Lindbäck, Golub and Lindgren here in heat number 8.
We get a good shot of the start line here. The ruts that the riders are sort of cleaning out and putting their bike into, they're getting really deep. But it's imperative to get a good start, and you know, sometimes getting in a fresh rut is the best way to go.
Heat number 8 it is then, here in the Markéta Stadium as the bike's roaring away from the start. It's a good one from Golub. Lindbäck's on the pace as well. Now here comes Lindgren around the outside. He's high and wide. Lindgren really on the pace. He's swept into second place there. Now he's going to chase hard after Thomas Golub. But the master, the world champion, has that lead. Lindgren lifted there and managed to maintain control of the bike. And there's a battle of the Swedes for second and third here as Lindbäck puts Lindgren under pressure down that back straight. They're wheel to wheel here.
It's fantastic racing. We see Freddie Lindgren in the white helmet colour. He's just edging ahead of Lindbäck in the red helmet colour. It seems like turn 1 and 2 has got a little bit more dirt, which favours Lindgren. Lindbäck keeps on the inside, keeps it on the curb, where he gains on the entry to the corner, but Freddie's got his wheels in line coming off the turns and pulls away slightly, but they're certainly having a good go at it.
Well, Thomas Golub looks in absolute complete control, cruise control in front of this race. Lindgren still has to work hard to hold off Lindbäck, but Thomas Golub is carving up the opposition here. He is going to win this race quite comfortably. The world champion, Golub, 2 wins out of 2, and after 2 rides apiece for every rider now, this Czech Republic Grand Prix has got 3 riders unbeaten. That doesn't happen very often. 3 riders on a maximum 6-point score. And Golub didn't just win that, he won it easily. And that will be ominous for his rivals as he makes his way back to the pits area after heat number 8. Golub with a dream start and a dream ending to that race. The victory. Second place, Freddie Lindgren, hard fought past Antonio Lindbäck, and Mate Kush was trailing at the back. This is what it means for the overall standings now. Golub, Crump, and Holder, all on 6 points apiece. Hampel and Hancock on 5 each. Lindgren just outside the top 8. Well, I don't know about you, Jan, but that was just about the perfect ride from Tomáš Golub.
Sat perfectly still, made that one count, led the clutch out right at the right time. Shuts down Lindbeck on the inside, drifts up ever so slightly to stop the run from Freddie Lindgren in the white helmet colour, who has a great first turn in coming past Antonio Lindbeck. Golub, there we see him, he just cuts in front of Lindbeck. There's the manager, Thomas Kaczynski, keeping his fingers crossed, but he's got this one covered.
Yeah, super ride indeed from Tomáš Golub. And the 3 riders unbeaten, they don't meet each other in the next set of races, so we could have 3 riders on 9 after the next 4 heats. Freddie Lindgren still with a bit of work to do to get into those semi-finals. You probably need 9 points, and Tomáš Golub's got 6 towards his total so far. Good night's work for Golub, and he's looking pretty ominous for his rivals, Jan, isn't he? He's looking absolutely on top form.
He is on top form. He is on top form. We just saw the Swedish team manager, Bosse Weierbrand, having a chat with Freddie there. Hopefully he could get his evening back on track, and Freddie will want to try and get in those semis.
Good crowd here in the Markéta Stadium in Prague. It's been eventful so far, and 3 riders, if you've just joined us, 3 riders in particular have impressed. 2 Australians and a Pole. Tomáš Golub, the Polish rider, and no doubt our viewers in Australia will be delighted with what they've done so far.
You can't keep from keeping an eye on Heat 14 a bit later on in the evening when those 3 riders meet. And like you said, we may be in a situation where they're all on maximums.
And throw in Jarek Hampel for good measure in Heat 14. You've got Holder, Hampel, Golub and Crump. That'll be worth watching.
That's an A final at any other Grand Prix.
Worth the admission money alone. Absolutely big race coming up in Heat number 14. So, a little bit of a gap in between the heats here, as there's a little bit of track grading going on between heats 8 and 9. And let's get some reaction. Chris Holder, Maximum Man, he's with Steve Brandon for a good night as we see the lineup for the next few heats.
Jason Crump.
2 rides, 2 wins, enough said.
Andreas Jonsson.
4 points to his name, 2 second places.
Markéta.
It's a tough night for the wild card, yet to score.
Janusz Godzi.
And also yet to score, which is a little bit of a surprise.
Chris Holder.
Maximum Man Holder, 6 out of 6.
Greg Hancock.
5 points out of a possible 6.
Artem Laguta.
1 point to his name for the young Russian.
Freddie Lindgren.
We've just heard from him. He's determined to win his next outing.
Emil Saifudinov.
3 points to his name. He'll be looking to double that in this one. Yet to score, just like Kolodze, a surprise.
Nicky Pedersen.
Not happy with his last outing. He'll be desperate to put it right.
Tomáš Golub.
But he's up against this man who is in immaculate form.
Kenneth Pierre.
Still needs points to get through to the semi-finals.
Harris.
A miserable night so far for the Great Britain rider.
Antonio Lindbeck.
Not having it his own way.
Jarek Hampel.
Looking quick. 5 points out of a possible 6 for the pole. Heat number 9 coming up then here in the Markéta Stadium in Prague. A chance for Jason Crump to make it a hat-trick of wins. He's in the yellow helmet colour. Janusz Kolodze yet to win a race. Matej Kuš, the wild card, yet to score a point. And Andreas Jonsson, 2 rides, 2 second places for AJ. He's a much better rider than his Grand Prix has suggested so far. 11 points to his name, 5 in Leszno, 6 in Gothenburg. And Jonsson is a much better rider than that. They'll be looking to show a vast improvement here tonight.
He certainly will, and I think he already has. You know, he'll be happy with his 4 points. You know, 2 rides, 2 second places. That's a good, solid start. The ones that really are starting to get grey hairs, I'm sure, are, you know, your Kwodzes, your Halters. Laguta will be happy. You know, he's got 1 point that he really fought for. The point he got in Gothenburg was gifted. So he'll be happy as well, even though he's only got a point.
Lucas Trimmel, the reserve, desperate to ride. You got the impression from that particular gesture from Lucas that he's going to have a little bit of a sleep if he's not going to get out there and ride the bike. Heat number 9 it is. It's the FIM Markéta Czech Republic Speedway Grand Prix. Here's your lineup for heat number 9 then. Jonas Kolodze and Mate Kuš off the inside 2 gates, yet to score a point between them. Andreas Jonsson off gate 3, 4 points so far. And Jason Crump, maximum man, can he make it off the outside, Jan Steckman?
Well, you'd be a brave man to bet against him. You know, he seems to have found a good space there. We've had track grading. They put a little bit of water on, and he's dug himself a nice hole off gate 4.
Heat number 9 it is then. The bikes roar on. Movement to the start. Will the red lights come on? Ziegler has let it go. And the lead here early on is with Mate Kuš. Now Crump has got to work hard. He's swept past 2 riders. Now he's going to pressurise Mate Kuš to wildcard. Crump goes into that bottom turn. Now he's going to sweep around the outside superbly of the wildcard. Can't quite get there. He's making hard work of this. Crump now into turn 1. And Kuš is pushing him every step of the way here, Jan.
I was just thinking Mate Kuš has been a little bit of a nice guy to Jason, but yep, turns the table. Crump's going wide. He thought for a minute he was going to cut back, but Jonsson's there. Jonsson's getting up the inside of Jason Crump, going into the first corner.
Well, this is a surprise. Absolute surprise result here. Crump comes up the inside now of Jonsson.
Brilliant move.
Absolutely, and now he's going to try it again with Mate Kuš, who's got 2 last places. Here comes Jonsson again. What a race we've got on our hands here.
Crump in second place. He's gone to the inside. He's not going to want to risk losing another point. He's getting his wheels in line. He's definitely got the speed on Kuš. Is he going to go on the outside? No, he shuts off and stays on the inside. Hits a bit of a hole going into the corner. Is this No, Jonsson's too late for that one. It stays as it is.
Mate Kuš gets the crowd to their feet. The shock result of the Grand Prix so far. No points from 2 rides, and that has to be the best result of his career so far, Mate Kuš. Rides for the Red Bears in the Premier League in the UK. And that's the 2nd division of Speedway, the middle tier of the sport. But he's just beaten a triple world champion, and he's beaten AJ. And Kolodze is still yet to score a point. Sensational Speedway in Heat 9. Mate Kuš the winner. I'll say it again. Mate Kuš the winner. Jason Crump 2nd. Andreas Jonsson 3rd. Jonas Kolodze at the back. Kuš is taking a lap of honour. And who can deny him that? Crump drops his first point, 8 out of 9. Jonsson moves on a 5, and Kuš moves into the top 8 with that victory. Sensational stuff from that man.
Local boy comes good. What can you say? He's really happy about that one. Off the start we see, just a little twitch from Mate Kuš off gate 2 in blue, but he's got it covered. Makes a fantastic start. Stays low. The track, like I said earlier, has had a little bit of water, and Crumpy goes out wide where the dirt was before, but it's just nothing there. Having said that, he gets a really good run going down to the pit corner.
Could the referee have pulled that back as unsatisfactory?
He could have done, but that would have been nitpicking, I think. It didn't favour anybody. See here, Crump gets his wheels in line, but and he's cut back behind Jonsson. Jonsson locks up a little bit. Crump pulls the tear off away and gets to 2nd place. This is how close they were. There's contact there. No harm done, no foul.
Yeah. Maybe I was taking it for granted in commentary, and when I was trying to predict what was happening, that I was saying Crump is going to come around the outside and pass him. I was just sort of taking it for granted.
Well, yeah, but he was on his way. He was on his way. No, fair play, like you said. Local boy come good, and the crowd went wild.
Absolutely brilliant stuff. And
there he is.
Yeah.
Holt has come over and says, "What on earth did you do? I need some of that."
And he's showing his Red Car Bears colours there. The men from the South Tees Motorsport Park will be delighted with that as we build up to heat number 10 here. And another unbeaten rider, Chris Holder. There's only 2 unbeaten riders now, and congratulations from Jason. That's great to see.
Yeah, he's a very sporting guy, Jason is.
Yeah, it was a super race. Thoroughly, best race of the night so far.
Absolutely. We've seen quite a few good races. So far it's very, very encouraging Grand Prix.
Heat number 10 is coming up then. There we see Artem Laguta, the young Russian rider, finding life tough in the SGP series. Lindgren now going off the inside, 3 points to his name. Laguta is off gate 2. Greg Hancock going off gate number 3, 5 points out of 6. And Chris Holder, the maximum man, 6 out of 6. We've already seen Jason Crump's unbeaten record go. Can Chris Holder hang on to his
It's very close to the fence off gate 4. That is a renowned good starting point here at Prague. Let's see what he does.
Heat number 10 it is then. And away from the start they go. Hancock's made a good one. Holder hasn't quite made it. Hancock hits that first turn. 2nd place is Frederick Lindgren now. Sweeping around in yellow is Chris Holder's got plenty of pace. Laguta has to shut off there. And now Chris Holder holds 3rd spot. The lead is with Greg Hancock. 2nd place Freddie Lindgren. 3rd is Chris Holder. But look at Greg Hancock go once again. We can only marvel at this rider who won the world title 14 years ago. 40 years of age, celebrates his 41st birthday next week, and has this lead superbly.
He has. He is the Markéta track record holder. Way back 1997, he set the track record here, and yeah, had there been a little bit more grip tonight, he might have done it again. A little bit spread out now. Lindgren's in second. Holder will not be happy with his start. Maybe I put the kibosh on him a little bit there. He's in third place, chasing Laguta's tail off at the back.
Yep, Hancock looking superb here. The race is in his own hands now. He's got time to look over his shoulder, making it look easy now here. The American Greg Herbie Hancock. Second place, Freddie Lindgren. Third place in the yellow helmet colour, Chris Holder takes that checkered flag. Another maximum score goes. So there's only one man standing when it comes to maximums. And you know who it is? Mr. G, Thomas Golub, who is coming out in heat number 11. And what a lineup heat number 11 will be, by the way. We'll come on to that shortly. But Greg Hancock, simply superb. Hancock, who started his career 22 years ago in Europe with Cradley in Great Britain. Hancock the winner, Freddie Lindgren second, Chris Holder third, Artem Laguta at the back. And Hancock now, just look at what it means for the overall standings. He joins Jason Crump on top on 8, Chris Holder's on 7. Golub, though, remember, unbeaten so far, 6 points, and he's got a race in hand on those above him.
He does. Here we see Greg Hancock back in the pits, and we jump to the start. Oh, just a little bit of a twitch there for Chris Holder.
There's some nerves at the start line tonight.
Certainly. Hancock off gate 3. He's only the second guy to make it off gate 3. Gets his wheels in line quickly, gets good speed down the straight. His bikes are set up perfect. Here we see Holder again. He just digs a big hole. Bike doesn't go forward. Digs in a little bit too much. Having said that, he still makes a half-decent start. Locks up in the middle of the corner. And by then, he's already down in third.
Well, when you look at it now, when riders have completed 3 rides, and you've got Hancock on 8 points so far, Jason Crump on 8 as well. They've virtually got 1 foot in the semi-finals already, you would think. He knows it as well. It's nice to get the work done and virtually close in on the semi-finals before the gap in proceedings at Heat 12, Jan.
Absolutely, and we heard Chris Holder say earlier on how important it was to have an ex-rider with him in the pits, and actually Greg Hancock's got Sean Moran with him in the pits tonight.
Yeah, great to see Sean.
Brilliant to see Sean, looks really well.
What a legend, Sean Moran.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Not a lot you can say there, you know, it's a fantastic rider in his day.
One of the most naturally talented riders on a motorcycle, Sean Moran, and his late brother Kelly, who sadly we lost last year. The Moran boys gave plenty of pleasure and entertainment to thousands of fans down the years, in the 80s mainly. Sean and Kelly Moran, great to see Sean here tonight. Heat number 11 it is then, and the only man with an unbeaten record is Thomas Golub. He's off the inside, the world champion, gate number 1. Nicky Pedersen working hard for his points, he goes off gate 2. Rune Holter yet to score a point. Didn't think we'd be saying that after 2 outings. And off the outside is the brilliant young Russian Emil Sayfutdinov in the yellow helmet colour. A big heat number 11 then. Which way will it go? And Thomas Golub hits that first turn. Nicky Pedersen's alongside him. Sayfutdinov now coming around the outside. And Sayfutdinov's lost it. He puts the bike down there and has landed awkwardly here. The red lights surely are going to come on. They are indeed. And the incident occurs, and Frank Ziegler has now got a decision to make here. It got all very tight, and no doubt the German referee will take a pretty close look at the replays. Golub's not happy because he knows he's got to go out and make the start once again.
I'd say this one's clear-cut, Nigel. You know, Sayfutdinov in the yellow helmet colour tries to come across on Nicky Pedersen here. It locks up really badly, takes his foot off the foot peg, which unrests him. So you can't blame anybody but himself for that one.
Well, there's no exclusion light yet, but I have to say, I agree with your opinion on this, Jan.
Well, you know, when the tracks are this slick and you take your foot off the foot peg, this is what happens. And there's a lot of youngsters that you know, see the Grand Prix riders do this and think that this is what you got to do, but it doesn't really work. And
confirmation.
There we go. Yep, the yellow light is on.
Yep.
Emil's out.
Emil Sayfutdinov is disqualified from the restart. So there will be 3 riders only. Sayfutdinov, who had that bad crash here last year, remember. And yellow disqualified. Emil Sayfutdinov will not take part in the restart. And what it means as well for the young man, he's only got 3 points from 3 rides. He's making gestures to the referee's box.
Yeah, I don't think that's warranted at all. You know, that was his own fault. Yeah, there was contact, but it was only contact because he made a mistake.
Well, 3 points from 3 rides now means that he's under pressure, yeah.
He is under pressure, you know, and given his past record here in Prague, you know, he won his very first his inaugural Grand Prix, he won here at Prague, came in as a rookie and pretty much beat everybody to win the Grand Prix. Then last year, like you said, he had that massive crash going into turn 3, which unfortunately ended on the sidelines for him. So yeah, he's not happy about this. It's a long walk back to the pits.
See it again here, Jan, and you said it was clear-cut right from the start. The referee didn't take too much time to put the yellow exclusion
No,
line
Frank Ziegler is a good, competent referee. Yeah, there was definite contact between Nicky Pedersen and Saifudinov, but there was really only one person to blame there on that one. Golub won't be happy because he made a belting start off gate 1.
Well, Golub again, as he came round, I was watching him, he put his arms in the air as if to say, what's that all about? I've got to do it all again. And he's just lost it there, hasn't he?
Yeah, he completely, the track's, like I said, it's very slick. He is on the outside line where there is a little bit of dirt. We can see there's a little bit of material on the track. Not a great deal, but he takes his foot off the foot peg, which, unbalances the bike, and he locks up, and Pedersen can't avoid him.
I'll tell you what, if he does that on the big tracks, he's just started riding in England in the Elite League. How's he going to get on around Eastbourne and Wolverhampton and Lakeside?
Yeah.
It's going to be great to watch.
I'll pay to watch it.
I mean, we're now back in the British League now, in the Elite League. This man's back in, riding for Peterborough.
Yep.
Emil Saifudinov has just joined Coventry.
There you go.
What's Nicky saying?
Yeah, he's on about his goggles.
Okay.
He wants some air up under the goggles so they don't steam up. And there's Nicky's got another ex-rider in his pits, Tom P. Madsen.
Yeah, and Chris Holder had Shane Parker in the pits last week.
Yeah.
Parks, who now rides for the Sheffield Tigers. He's got a big meeting tomorrow. Emil with Susie as manager.
Yep. Thomas Suskovic.
Yep.
He is a fantastic mechanic, really nice guy. He used to work for Tony Ricardson, who is heavily involved with Emil's racing.
Disappointed Russians, but they're still smiling none the least. And part of Emil Saifudinov's camp tonight as well. Ashley Holloway, who's top engine tuner, but based in Bydgoszcz these days, the son of the former rider Malcolm Holloway, I should say. Ashley's part of this team, and Ashley part of Simon Stead's backroom team these days as well, the Great Britain star, Simon Stead.
Very competent engine tuner.
Yep. As we build up to heat number 11 then, 3 riders only, a chance for Pedersen. I thought Nicky made a good start with Golub there.
He did make a really good start, he made a really good jump, but then it didn't seem to dig in the rest of the way. I thought early on when we had a look at the track for the track report, the gate 2 did look to be perhaps watered favourably. It should stay tacky for longer in the night. But, you really have to have your gating gloves on to beat Golub.
Heat 11, second time of asking. Golub off the inside then. 6 points out of 6. Pedersen off gate 2. Rune Holter off gate 3. No rider off the outside. Emil Saifudinov disqualified for being the cause of the stoppage. And that means that Saifudinov is now on 3 points from 3 rides and is under pressure here now to go forward and get through to the semi-finals. He's got 2 rides to try and sort that out. And you do feel that Emil Saifudinov may need 2 race wins to get through to the semi-finals now. Heat number 11. The Pedersen pit crew watching on.
Pressure's on now. Here we go. Restart.
Big race coming up. Heat number 11. Oh, and Pedersen jumped the start that time, but the referee has let the race go because Golub has got that start and has got the lead. Pedersen is second. He's under pressure from Holter, who looks pretty quick here, Rune Holter, trying to put the pressure on Nicky Pedersen. Thomas Golub, though, holds that lead. Surely he's going to kick on here and win. And Golub is sending a message to the rivals here. I'm under real control. I'm riding at the top of my game. Can you beat me? Well, I'll tell you what, it's going to take a brave man to beat Tomáš Golub tonight.
Golub's got his bike dialed into a T. You can see he rides wider than anybody else has ridden all night, and he gets the traction and gets the speed coming off the corners. Holter's got the bit between his teeth now. He seems to have found the speed. Chasing Nicky Pedersen.
I'll tell you what, Rune Holter has actually got his clutch lever at a strange angle because of the damage that he did to his hand in a crash a couple of weeks or so ago. But he's on the pace and he's putting serious pressure on Nicky Pedersen here. We see Golub in front, has that lead going down the back straight now. But the battle is for second and third, and Holter knows that he needs a big dive here. Pedersen's got to hold the line, holds the inside line. Golub takes the checkered flag on one wheel, and Nicky Pedersen hangs on to get second place and move on to 5 points. Rune Holter gets his first point of the night, but looked a lot quicker there. But my word, who can stop this man? Tomáš Golub is the top cat. in heat number 11. And who's going to stop him tonight? Whatever happens, we know it'll go down to the final, and it's all about 4 laps to decide the winner of the Czech Grand Prix. But Tomáš Golob is looking vintage Golob tonight, the winner of heat number 11. Pedersen was second, moved to the start, I thought there. Rune Holte was third there. And what it means now is that Golob is the clear leader of the Czech Grand Prix on 9 points. But Crump and Hancock are tucked in behind on 8, Holder on 7. Golob's a happy man. He looks absolutely in top form. Didn't quite see it there, but I thought Nicky may have moved at the start a little bit there, Jan.
Yeah, maybe we'll see a different angle of it, but Golob certainly got this one covered. He makes a brilliant start off the inside. Nicky's there, so here we go, Golob again. Perfect bike control. You can just see he's adjusted the throttle with his clutch. And he's gone. Thank you very much, 3 points.
Yeah, he's just making it look easy, isn't he, Jan?
He is, yeah. It's very demoralising for the rest of the lineup. But it's just up to them to step up to the plate and see if they can beat him. Like you said, there we go, Golob showboating.
And why not as well? He's entitled to.
Absolutely, yeah. Thumbs up from Gazinski. The manager's happy. The Polish fans are happy.
And this is what it means for the world champion, past and present. 9 points for Tomáš Golob, 4 clear of Nicky Pedersen.
We can see he's sitting there on the right-hand side of the bike. My guess is that he'll be adjusting the timing, which is on that side of the bike.
He's always doing something.
Yeah, that's Golob for you, though. But that's why he's so good, you know. He knows what to do to chase the setup. Actually, there was an oil pan there, so he might be changing the oil.
It's amazing when you're at a GP and Tomáš turns up about 3 hours before the start and just revs his bikes and makes so much noise.
Yeah, he's a very accomplished motorcyclist. Carl Bloomfeld worked for him for a season in Poland, and he said he was giving incredible feedback when he was testing engines. You know, you could go out and test 10 engines in a day, and tell you to a T what each engine was doing.
Amazing stuff. Heat number 12 coming up here in the Czech Republic. Here's the lineup. Jarek Hampel is going off the inside gate here, 5 points out of 6. Antonio Limbach gate 2, Chris Harris gate 3. Outside is Kenneth Bier needing points. The pressure is mounting on these riders. Hampel has the superb start. Chris Harris has had a nightmare, but Bier's dipped up the inside. But Hampel just holds the line superbly. Second place now is Kenneth Bier. Third place in blue is Antonio Limbach. Chris Harris will charge hard around the outside to try and get the better of Limbach, but it's not been the best of nights for Chris Harris here. He's struggling tonight at the back, the Bellevue man. But the lead is with Jarek Hampel, who's done well round here in the past, and he's kicking on, Jan.
He is. He made a faultless start there off gate 1. We keep saying gate 1 appears to be the better one. Yeah, I was there with him on the first corner, but not quite close enough to mount any challenge. So he tucked in behind him, tried to secure the 2 points.
And now Lindback is starting to put a bit of pressure on Kenneth Bier as well, because second place for Bier would put him on 5. He'd be in contention for the semi-finals, but this would be a good result for Hampel. He'd be on 8 points out of a possible 9. Hampel, who used to ride for the Ipswich Witches in the UK, still got a lot of fans over there in the UK, I know that for sure, as Hampel has the lead. And now he's going to come round to take the checkered flag. Fantastic ride from the pole. Second place is Bier, third is Lindback, and bitter disappointment for Chris Harris, the Great Britain man, who's only got 1 point from 3 rides. And there are a lot of fans from the UK that have made the journey across for this Czech Republic Grand Prix tonight, and several from Edinburgh as well. The Edinburgh Monarchs fans are out in force down the back straight, but the Polish fans making plenty of noise, and it's going their way tonight. Who can stop Poland in the World Cup, I wonder? That's coming up in July, of course. Hampel the winner, Kenneth Bier was second, Antonio Limbach third, and Chris Harris trailing in at the back. This is what it means now. Overall, every rider has completed 3 outings. Hampel, the winner, gets 8 points from 3 rides. Kenneth Bier on 5. And the pattern is emerging nicely now after 3 rides each. Here we see it again then, a very important heat number 12.
Hampel off the inside, Bier off the outside. Bier not quite there on the first corner, so he tucks in, trying to see if he could get the run coming off the corner. Gets his wheels in line, but Hampel's already gone. Here we see from a different angle. Very good start from Hampel. Not much else to say there, really. He makes the start, makes a good first turn, covers the line, gets his wheels in line, and he's gone. We noticed a little bit later on in the race, he tried to go wider and wider. He'd obviously seen what Golob had done in the race previously. Nice win for Hampel.
Yeah, he's looking superb, Eric Hampel. It's ominous for the rivals here tonight because the Poles, Hampel and Golub, are riding simply superbly.
There's a despondent Chris Harris going for a little bit of a walk. He just wants to clear his head. He's not happy. This is soul-destroying.
Got to tell you, though, that it wasn't the best of days for Poland at under-21 level today. Sweden have won the World Under-21 qualifier. Well, you've got to feel sorry for Chris Harris. He's trying desperately to focus and get back on top of his game. It's obviously one of those nights for Chris Harris where it's going against him. And Jason Crump has got 8 points out of 9, was involved in the best race of the night. And let's get some reaction with Steve Brandon. Nice to see Nicky with a smile on his face, or, you know, he's working on it and he feels as though he's getting there.
Yeah, absolutely. He won't be happy about this because he has got quite a good record here in Prague, so he won't be happy to be beat. You know, he's not won a race yet, but like he says, you know, he's got the speed now, and I feel that it's we've talked about in the past that it's important for him to get back to the UK, get regular racing under his belt, and yeah, I'm glad that he's reaping the benefits of that.
And good for Nicky to be riding back in England. Busy schedule.
Yeah, like I just said, you know, I think it's important that he did get back to Britain. We've talked about it a few times, and yeah, I'm pleased that he's reaping the benefits of it because, you know, if you're not riding in England, you basically just turn into a weekend warrior often. And
you're a part-time speedway rider.
Well, this is it. You know, you have all week off, and that works for some riders, but certainly not for others.
Take a look at the gate stats then, Jan, and the inside gate working well.
Yeah, it's the gate one has been the best. You know, the graphics, depending on how you read them, it's not necessarily the guy off the inside that wins the race, or that makes the start rather. You know, so you could have the gate 4, for instance, was the best gate all night, but the guys off the other gates actually won the races because the gate 4 made some mistakes in the first corner or whatever. But this one was accurate. You know, the inside gate has proved to be the better one. Actually, gate 4 has only made one start all night.
They're grading the track here now, Jan, but with a circuit like this, there's only so much you can do with a track surface, isn't there, really?
Yeah, and we saw when we walked the track earlier, the track is very, very slick. And when they put it, we just have a look now out the window, and they are putting some water on it. And when they're putting water on slick surface, you know what it's like when it's like driving on ice in your car. You know, it's very, very slippery because of the underlay is so packed. Obviously, with the threat of rain in the area, they've packed the track quite hard. So when you put a bit of water on that, it does turn into to just a little bit of a slippery slosh, really.
Big circuit here in Prague, and just looking at the lineup now and the way the meeting is progressing, can anybody beat Golub, Jan? Because he just looks in absolute top-notch form.
Yeah, you know, he's on top of his game. There's not much else to say. He's the reigning world champion, and he's certainly got off to a great start tonight. You know, he'd be a brave man to bet against him.
Well, let's take a look at what's coming up then for the next few races.
Andreas Jonsson.
5 points to his name, still with some work to do for a semi-final spot. That exclusion last time out has put him under pressure now. Like Jonsson, 5 points, needs a win.
Kenneth Pierre.
And the same applies to Kenneth Pierre.
Jason Crump.
8 points so far out of a possible 9.
Tomáš Golub.
The only unbeaten man so far. What a lineup this is.
Jarek Hampel.
Very quick, 8 points out of 9.
Chris Holder.
2 wins from his 7 points. Heat 14, watch out for that.
Artem Laguta.
Just 1 point for Artem Laguta so far.
Chris Harris.
Same applies to him, and he is struggling. Struggling as well, but quite clearly still not 100% fit. 3 points, and that was from one race where he beat Jason Crump.
Greg Hancock.
8 out of 9, Herbie looking quick and fast. Just 3 points, 3 third places so far for the Swede. Yet to score from 3 outings, unbelievable for Janis Kolodze.
Nicky Pedersen.
Just looking for more speed from the bike. Nicky Pedersen, as we build up to Heat 13, and Greg Hancock is down in the pits area, and he's going to be talking very shortly to, always with a smile on his face, Greg Hancock. Now, Emil Saifudanov needs points. He's got 3 from 3 rides. Kenneth Pierre on 5 points so far. 12 races gone. Every rider has had 3 rides apiece, and Golob isn't number 1 for no reason. He has been in tip-top form so far. Beautiful sunshine overlooking Prague. Respects paid to the late Matti Furjan, who died last weekend. And the crowd enjoying their speedway. A nervous, tense start to the Prague Grand Prix here, but Chris Holder, Tomáš Golob, very impressive. And Jason Crump as well, just a fortnight after suffering a dislocated shoulder, in winning form, as was Greg Hancock as well. Holder in new colours continued to surge forward. Jason Crump as well under complete control. Got the better of Greg Hancock with a superb ride from the triple world champion. But it was Golob who continued to dominate. 3 wins out of 3. The only rider at the interval stage to take 9 points out of a possible 9. And it was looking ominous for his rivals. Yedis Kolobze surprisingly failed to score a point from his opening 3 rides. A major disappointment for the fast Pole. Lucas Drimmel wants a piece of the action. Otherwise, he's having 40 winks. Then Chris Holder, Matej Kuš, Jason Crump was beaten by the Czech Republic wildcard. It was a terrific race, and Crump was very quick to congratulate Kuš on a terrific effort. And Greg Hancock on the winning form, but Emil Sayfutdinov was disqualified from his 3rd ride for causing the stoppage of the race, coming out of the 2nd turn. But Golob marched on, 9 points out of a possible 9 for the pole, the reigning champion. Heat 13, we're back in business after the interval here in Prague, the Markéta Stadium in the Czech Republic. And this is an absolutely vital race for every single rider. This is where the pressure starts to build. This is where riders need points, because they've all had 3 rides apiece so far, and they need points on the board to get into the semi-final. It's all about getting into the top 8 and reaching the semi-final of the Czech Grand Prix. Has to be said, Tomáš Golob has been so dominant so far. You have to ask the question, can anybody beat Golob tonight? But it's lively, it's entertaining, it's fast and furious out there. And the riders now ready to do battle at the start of the 2nd part of this Czech Republic Grand Prix. Pressure on all these riders then, Jan Stegman.
There certainly is. We're getting towards the business end of the meeting. This is where you need to score lots of points to secure your place in the semi-finals. Still a lot can happen. There's 8 heats to go. Everything's on the line.
Heat number 13 then, your lineup. Kenneth Pierre going off the inside, 5 points so far. The same applies to Freddie Lindgren. Needs points. So does Sayfutdinov, the brilliant young Russian. Desperate to get through to the semi-finals. Needs a win off gate 3. And off the outside, Andreas Jonsson in the yellow helmet colour. Big race coming up here for all these riders. Pressure mounting in the race to get into the top 8 of the Czech Republic Grand Prix. Heat 13 it is, and away from the start, Kenneth Pierre's made a good one in the inside gate. Now Lindgren locks up the inside. Jonsson coming around. The Swede in yellow getting the better of Lindgren, who holds the line, and now he's got 2nd place, and Sayfutdinov is struggling here. Could it be that Emil Sayfutdinov will fail to qualify for the semi-finals of the Czech Republic Grand Prix as Kenneth Pierre holds the lead? But it's pretty tight here, Jan.
It certainly is, and we can see again they've watered the track, so the outside line in the 1st turn is not really working like it was before the break. Lindgren's got a lot of speed there, drifting slightly past the line. Kenneth Pierre looks to have a little bit of breathing space there. His bike's looking really good. The Czechs will be happy. He's the only rider on the JRM Czech-built machine.
And looking good, and this would put him on to 8 points now, Kenneth Pierre. The man who rides for the Kings Lynn Stars in their 1st season of Elite League racing in the UK. Lindgren in 2nd place. 3rd is Andreas Jonsson. Sayfutdinov is trailing at the back. That would just leave him on 3 points from 4 rides and would leave him out of the semi-final contention, you would think. With Kenneth Pierre looking good. This is a massive victory. Lindgren will be fairly happy as well, because that will put him on to 7. And Andreas Jonsson in 3rd place could have done with more from that. But Sayfutdinov is disappointed with that result at the back. But Kenneth Pierre, let's give him great credit, had a nightmare in Gothenburg, but a lot better tonight for the dynamic little Dane, Kenneth Pierre, in the red helmet colour. All the hard work from the start. Plenty of Danes in the stadium here tonight in Prague. as we see the result of Heat 13. Kenneth Pierre, the race winner. Second place was Freddie Lindgren. Third, Andreas Jonsson. And Emil Sayfudinov at the back and out of contention for a semi-final spot. Lindgren and Jonsson just hanging on into the top 8. Kenneth Pierre moves into the top 8 now with a vital race win for Kenneth Pierre there, Jan.
He'll be happy with that one. You'd have to say Sayfudinov's missed the boat now. Here we get the replay. Pierre makes a faultless start off the inside. He's got the run going into the first turn. Jonsson's there on the outside. You can see how shiny the track is from the water at the interval. But just for a brief moment, Jonsson does get past Lindgren, but Lindgren's got the one coming out of the corner. Sayfudinov in the white helmet colour. Little bit out of shape going into the corner. He's last place. He will be getting desperate. There's Ivan, Kenneth Pierre's dad. He'll be happy too. He is making those engines work.
It's a massive result for Pierre when you bear in mind that he had a nightmare a couple of weeks or so ago in Gothenburg where everything that could go wrong did go wrong for him.
Absolutely, absolutely. He had like you said, he had a nightmare meeting that day. But so far, he's on track to make the semi. We saw last year that 7 points actually got you to 11th place, you know, so nothing's done and dusted yet.
No, Kenneth Pierre, 9th in the World Championship before tonight. But he's going to go ahead of Jonas Kalodze, who was in 8th place, because Kalodze hasn't scored a point here. Now, Heat 14. What a lineup this one is. This is sensational for Heat 14. And it's so hard to predict a winner. This is going to be a real tough test for Tomáš Golub, who's unbeaten so far. And for my money, really is the man to beat tonight because he's been so superb. 139 Grand Prix finals between them, between these four riders. Heat 14, what a lineup. Can anybody beat Golub? That's the question. Holder off the inside, Hampel off gate 2, gate 3 is Tomáš Golub, and going off the outside is Jason Crump in the yellow helmet colour. Who's going to win this one? It's going to be worth watching. The green light is on and away from the start they go, and it's an absolutely sensational start from gate 2 and Jarek Hampel. Now Jason Crump tries the inside, Golub is second, Hancock is third, and Holder is third, and at the back is Jason Crump now. The lead though is with Jarek Hampel, made a beauty off gate 2, and coming up the inside challenging Tomáš Golub now is the man in red, Chris Holder.
Hampel was gone off the start that time, he left the others standing. Holder's coming past, he just squeezes Golub a little bit and gets up into second place. Brave move by Holder, good move.
It was a hard move down that back straight, and that will wind Tomáš Golub up, you can be sure of that. Golub is third, Jason Crump is at the back. Watch out for Golub now, going high and wide. Crump's on the pace as well. Hampel has got the race in the back, surely, but watch out for Golub now. He's going to wind it all on. He's going to try and put pressure on Chris Holder. Now at the inside, Crump's coming back for more as well, Jan.
Oh, this is a brilliant race. We got Holder in red on the second place. Golub is fighting hard, getting the wheels in line. He's getting the run up on Holder into the third turn. Holder's cutting back. He's locking up, and Jason Crump's right there with him.
What a win for Hampel, and now Jason Crump comes into third, and the man in red, Chris Holder, sensationally has been relegated to the back. What a race that was! And Jarek Hampel missed all the action, but he won't mind because he made the dream start, and that, as we expected it may be, is the race of the night.
What a sensational race. It's really brought the stadium alight here. Fabulous race by Jarek Hampel to make it off gate 2 rather.
It's so hard for Chris Holder to accept the fact that he failed to score there. Hampel the winner, Golub was second, Crump was third, and Holder at the back. And what it means now is that Chris Holder has still got some work to do in his last race to book his place in the semi-finals. Hampel and Golub are there. Hampel, the only man to beat Tomáš Golub so far. And what a race it was, Jan.
Let's have a look at the replay here. We see Hampel off gate 2 in the blue helmet colour makes a brilliant start. And this is the race to make a start, and if you ever needed one. Golub tries desperately on the outside. There's Holder going on the inside of Golub, showing the world champion how it's done. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it stick though, and Golub come back at him. Brilliant pictures here. We see Golub going in between Jason Crump and Chris Holder. Holder has a look over his shoulder. Golub's got his wheels in line. He's got the speed going into the third turn. And Jason Crump here, he looks dead and buried in last place, but he does get that 1 point, and that could be really important at the end of it.
Absolutely, and Jarek Hampel, second place in his opening ride, but my word, looking superb. And now, world champions past and present. Golub 11, Crump 9. Remember, the Grand Prix is decided over the course of 60 seconds. One dramatic, sudden death final. The 23rd race of the night will decide the winner of the FIM Markéta Czech Republic Speedway Grand Prix. Golub won it here last year, won it here in 1999 as well, and Jason Crump has won it 3 times here. So heat number 15 is coming up, and all these riders in deep, deep trouble. Whoever wins this race, well, you do get the feeling, might just give themselves an outside chance of reaching the semi-final. Matej Kuš off the inside, Rune Holter off 2, Chris Harris off 3, and Artem Laguta off 4. And has to be said that all these riders are in deep trouble and look as though they may miss out on the semi-final, but a race win might just change things around a little bit. Heat number 15 it is. We saw Matej Kuš beat Jason Crump last time around. He's off the inside gate. That's a good one from Holter in the blue helmet colour. A fine start. Now Harris is going to try and come around the outside. Chris Harris of Great Britain. That's a fine ride. Holter almost loses it. And now coming through into third in the yellow helmet colour is Artem Laguta. The lead is with Rune Holter. Chris Harris holds second place. Kuš is battling with Laguta for third. But that was a good start from Rune Holter, Jan.
Thought for a minute Matej Kuš was going to do it again, but Holter had that one covered in the first turn. Got his wheels in line. Looked a little bit out of shape, like an accident waiting to happen. Still does a little bit, to be honest, but Chris Harris, he had him lined up, had a really good run on the outside, but just lost out at the end of the straight.
Well, Rune Holter is up against Freddie Lindgren, Jarek Hampel and Janis Kolodze in his last race. He'd need to win it to give himself a chance, you feel, to get into the semi-finals with 7 points, and even that might not be enough. But going into the last lap now, we've got a real battle for second place. Artem Laguta is pressurising Chris Harris, who holds that second spot. Laguta is third. Matej Kuš is trailing at the back, but Harris has gained some ground down that back straight now. And Rune Holter is going to take the checkered flag here in the blue helmet colour. He'll feel a lot happier about life now with that race victory to boost his confidence. Second place, Chris Harris. Third was Artem Laguta. The Polish fans respond because, of course, Holter is a part of the Polish international setup, riding on a Polish passport, of course, Norwegian-born, but very much part of the Polish international speedway scene, Rune Holter, and he'll be delighted that he managed to get a victory there. In Heat 15, puts him on to 4 points, and he's now 10th in the meeting, 2 points off the top 8. Here's the result then. Holter the winner. Second place was Chris Harris. Third was Artem Laguta, and trailing in at the back was the wild card Matej Kuš. So here's what it means now. Holter moves on to 4 points, and he's just outside of the top 8. Still might not be enough with a win in his last race, but Holter with a specially adapted clutch position, as we see pictures of it down in the pits. Tell us about it, yeah.
Yep. Well, he's obviously hurt his wrists, you know, so he can't put pressure on in certain points, so he's got to move the clutch lever to, there we go. Yeah, it's virtually pointed downwards, isn't it? Makes a really good start, Holter does there off gate 2. Matej Kuš for a second, we thought he was going to do it again, and here we are. Chris Harris got his wheels in line, Holter all over the place, and Harris has got to come off the throttle. But it'll be good 2 points there for Chris Harris. He'll be happy with that. He's had a tough night, he's come back, he's scored some good points in this one, he's mixing it, he's got the speed. Whatever they've done to his bike certainly seems to work now, so we'll have to watch him from here on in, but he'll have left it too late for a semi-final spot.
Well, pressure on Nicky Pedersen going into heat number 16. He's on a new bike as well, as Chris Harris talks to Mick Shepherd there, part of his backup team, and clearly not happy. A lot of work to do before the next GP in Copenhagen, where he did well last year. That's coming up in a fortnight's time, but Rune Holter will see that as a confidence boost, that victory, as we build up to heat number 16 now, and Greg Hancock going off the outside. 8 points to his name so far, but Nicky Pedersen, your fellow countryman here, Jan, needs points off the inside gate.
He does. He was second here last year. He's won here a few times. He's not going to be happy, even though he's got 5 points. You know, he's still on target for a semi-final spot, but he'll want to make those gate 1s count now.
Heat 16 it is. After this race, every rider will have completed 4 rides in the race for the semi-finals of the Czech Republic Speedway Grand Prix. Nicky Pedersen off the inside, Janis Kolodze gate 2. Antonio Limbach, he'll be disappointed with only 3 points to his name so far. And a Greg Hancock, 8 points out of a possible 9. This is heat number 16 as Team Pedersen watch on. The nerves jangling, the pressure on. And Nicky knows that off the inside gate he needs a big race here. He's made a nightmare start. It's a beauty for Kolodze off too. But Pedersen has made ground. How on earth did he manage that? Lindback and now coming through is Hancock. Oh, very tight. Oh, Lindback's got off the bike. And it's a nasty landing as well. Let's hope that he can get up and about very shortly. But I did fear the way they were so close there, Jan, something like that might have happened.
Something had to give. There was an awful lot of jostling for positions going on in the first turn. And unfortunately, Lindback seemed to cut the back. Here we see it in the replay. Nicky makes gate 1 stick. He's got 2 gates 1 to finish the meeting. Kawatse's there with him in gate 2. Lindback's made a really good cut back. Hancock's a great cut back, and unfortunately he just ran out of room and clipped the back wheel. Here we see it from a different angle. Lindback's cut to the inside. He has to lock up a little bit. Greg's there. Everything funnels out, and he just gets a little bit of a knock there from Hancock by the looks of it.
And immediately the ambulance is on the track with sad to report. Antonio has been in great form.
Let's have a look here. Hancock cuts back to the inside. He's in last place at the moment. Lindback locks up. Hancock's got the line on the inside. He squeezes through the gap. Locks up ever so slightly not to hit Pedersen yet, and Lindback just gets squeezed in there. He didn't really have a chance. He hits Pedersen's back wheel. Pedersen straightens up. Hancock's got his wheels in line, and unfortunately Lindback's heading to the fence, and there's no air fence on the straight, so he will have had a good knock there.
Well, dear oh dear. Let's hope that Antonio is going to be okay. And the decision of the referee, Frank Ziegler, we'll get that confirmed for you very shortly. But we are hearing it could be all 4 riders back. In fact, yes, all 4 riders back for the restart. And Antonio's up as well. That's great to see.
Good news.
Brilliant.
That was a big crash.
It was an awkward landing, a terrible landing, and he's walked away from that. And, well, it's quite ironic. He hears that all 4 are back in, and he gets up and walks away and gets ready for the restart.
He did have a very hard impact there. He hit the fence with his back by the looks of it.
Well, great to see that he's walking back. That's the most important thing for Antonio Lindback.
I have to say that it was a very fair decision by the referee. You would have thought that coming out of out of turn 2, you know, you're not in the first turn bunching kind of scenario, so I thought it was a very fair call by the referee to let all 4 back in.
Frank Ziegler, the German referee, applying a bit of common sense there, Jan, perhaps.
Yeah, well, there you go. He's going for a sprint now.
This reminds me of Chris Harris in the Elite League playoff final in Poole last October, where he was suffered an almighty crash and then sprinted back to the pits. And this is Antonio Lindback's version of it as he heads back towards the pits. Just a few moments ago,
he's going to overtake his bike.
It looked as though he was going to need an ambulance, but he's run back to the pits quicker than the ambulance has got there.
By the looks of it, the bike's the one by the looks of it, the bike is going to be the one that needs the ambulance.
Just underlines how courageous these boys are.
I think we can have a look at it again here shortly. Here we go. Lindback, white helmet, off gate 3. Doesn't make a good start, so immediately cuts to plan B, go to the inside, hits the curb, locks up the bike. Greg Hancock's on the inside. Nicky funnels in to cover Greg Hancock, and unfortunately Lindback just runs out of room.
You do worry when they get that close together at high speed.
Absolutely, absolutely. Kawatse making a half-decent start, his first half-decent start of the night. You know, he never saw what happened there. Last place.
Oh, it's a good job he got off when he did, isn't it?
Yeah, he did a really good job jumping off it. He still hits the fence pretty hard, though. And on that section of the track, there's no air fence. So this is solid wooden fence. Duff. Get in there.
Yeah, it just underlines the courage of these riders. They're special human beings, these Speedway boys.
There's not a lot of room there. He did well to get off that bike.
Brian Anderson alongside him in the pits area.
Look at that.
They've given up on that,
Forks,
haven't they?
front wheel, diamond. Oh, this is going to be expensive.
Put that in the van and we'll worry about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think that's the message from the Lindback camp. But
that's easily £1,000 right there.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Dear, oh dear. Well, it just underlines the need that these boys have for sponsorship to maintain competitiveness at the top of the Speedway tree. Lindback will have to revert to another bike, and he's running again. He's running again.
Yeah, we're already under 2 minutes. There we go. The clock's running down.
Amazing stuff.
This will be another chance for Greg Hancock to see if he can make a better start off gate 4.
Yeah. Well, this man is something special, isn't he, Antonio Lindback? An awful crash, and he's running around everywhere.
Come now, they're saying. Come on, let's go.
The adrenaline's pumping.
He's pumped. Oh, definitely.
Don't rule him out now
up.
for winning the rerun.
Oh, no. No, he could go out and do it. I mean,
Absolutely.
gate 3's not been the best one tonight. It's only made 2 starts all night, but who's to say that he won't be the third one?
First saw Antonio riding for the Swedish under-21s back in 2003 on Sky Sports against England at Wimbledon.
Really?
At the Plough Lane Stadium in 2003, and you could see even then, 8 years ago, that he was something special.
That was when Wimbledon was quite narrow, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I remember that. I saw
very,
that.
very small.
Yeah.
And no, great to see Antonio back and ready for action, albeit on a different machine.
You know what? Sometimes when you swap bikes in these kinds of situations, it actually helps you, because you might not have wanted to take that bike in the first instance, but it might turn out to be a better bike.
Well, we saw Richard Childs, Greg Hancock's manager, with the thumbs up there just a few moments ago. And the USA, who put on a pretty good display in the World Cup qualifier recently. How nice it would be to see the Americans back on the world stage at team level. Who is going to be the next Greg Hancock coming through the system, we wonder. Heat 16 it is then. And here's the lineup once again. Nicky Pedersen goes off the inside in red. Janis Kolodze is gate 2. No points to his name so far, but he made a good start last time out. Antonio Lindback, battered and bruised, but ready for action. Gate number 3. And off the outside, Greg Hancock in the yellow helmet colour. Heat number 16, second time of asking. And let's hope that they get through this race safe and sound this time around. Bikes roar, and away from the start they go. Nicky Pedersen's made a better start this time. Off the inside gate, Kolodze will try and come around the outside. And now Greg Hancock in yellow as well, as Pedersen loses ground, and Lindback is coming through into third place. Kolodze has the lead. Now Hancock is putting the pressure on him big time. Here comes Greg Hancock. Has he got the speed? Wow, what a ride from Greg Hancock. And now Lindback putting Kolodze under pressure as well.
What a comeback from Hancock, and Lindback on the back wheel there, trying to line up Kolodze. He's got his wheels in line. Just lifted a little bit too much and lost the speed, lost all the hard work. He comes up again up the inside, but Kolodze, for the first time tonight, is really on the gas. He's getting into second place. He's trying to make that stick. He's going into the inside, trying to cover his position. Lindback switches to the outside, has to come off the throttle there. Oh, and here comes Nicky Pedersen.
They're throwing the bikes at each other. They're absolutely throwing the bikes at each other here. Kolodze is second. Lindback is third. Pedersen still having a go. Here comes Lindback trying to go around the outside of Janis Kolodze. One big swoop in the bottom turn.
I think he's got him.
Lindback has done him with a sensational ride for second place for Antonio Lindback.
What a comeback.
What a ride for the Swede. Greg Hancock, magnificent, with a superb ride to take the victory. And Hancock moves on to 11 points and leads the meeting alongside Hampel and Golub. Well, the race for the world title is well and truly including this man, Greg Hancock. The stars and stripes fly high in Prague. And Greg Hancock, the 1997 world champion, at his very best. Hancock the winner there, 3 points for him. Second place, Antonio Lindback. That was a great ride from Antonio. Third place there to Kolodze, and Pedersen at the back. He's still got work to do. Hancock on 11 alongside Hampel and Golub. 3 men lead the championship on 11 points. Well, he doesn't just do it from the start, Jan, does he?
No, it's all happening in this one. Here we say Hancock off the outside, Nicky Pedersen red off the inside makes the start. Kolodze's there in off gate 2 in blue helmet collar. Hancock gets his wheels in line. Kolodze's leading by this point. Here we go again, different angle. Nicky Pedersen, excellent look at the front wheel. It's not even touching until he gets on the floor again. Kolodze's with him in the first turn. He's got the line coming off the corner. He's got his wheels in line. He's got the speed. He's got the lead now. And there's Lindback on the back wheel. Fantastic pictures. He comes back at Nicky Pedersen to steal the point.
It's all very tight now for the top 8 because Jonsson's on 6 and then you've got Pedersen and Lindback on 5 points apiece. All very tight here in Prague. Nicky Pedersen, 5 points, has work to do in his last race, but Greg Hancock already in the semi-finals now. He's on 11 points and riding superbly.
Pressure's on for the Dane. He needs at least a win. Well, he does need a win to have any hope of making the semi-final. But yeah, like you said, it's certainly getting very close for these last few spots. This is Grand Prix racing.
Well, the Grand Prix has livened up, hasn't it? That's for sure. There's been some pretty entertaining stuff here tonight, Jan.
Absolutely. I'm positively surprised. You know, when we at the top of the show, when we were looking at the track, it did look very, very slick, and we thought racing was going to be at a premium. but having seen the whole meeting, it's turned up some terrific racing.
Now, listen closely. Antonio Lindback in Swedish, speaking to Steve Brandon. Let's hear what Antonio has to say. Steve, great stuff from Lindback. Jan, let's take a look at the gate stats once again.
Yeah, we see gate 1 and gate 2. They're the two ones that are doing all the damage.
And
gate 3 and 4, they're notoriously difficult here in Prague.
So important to get first pick in the semi-finals, and right now we've got 3 riders on 11 points each at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, and of course it's important to win the meeting in the heats, because that gives you first choice for the semi-finals, and then consequently that takes you through to the first choice for the final.
And we've got Golob and Hancock on 11 points each, and they meet in the next race. And it doesn't get any easier for that man, Chris Harris, because he's in that race as well.
No, he's had a tough night. You know, they don't get any easier than his last race. Here we see he's adjusting his clutch. He's actually loosening off the clutch a little bit, trying to not make it bite so hard off the start, hopefully not lift so much.
Chris Harris.
Quite clearly struggling for confidence right now.
Greg Hancock.
Brilliant ride in his last outing, 11 out of 12.
Tomasz Goll.
Beaten only once by Jara Campbell, his fellow countryman.
Andreas Jonsson.
Now, how he'd love a race win to sneak into the semis.
Maciej Kus.
Had his moment of glory when he beat Jason Crump.
Kenneth
8 points should fancy his chances of going into the semi-finals.
Holder.
Great start for Chris, but still not guaranteed a semi-final spot.
Nicky Pedersen.
Needs a win. Simple as that. Surprised that Jonas has only managed a point tonight.
Jarek Hampel.
11 out of 12, absolutely stunning.
Freddie Lindgren.
Could do with a victory in Heat 19.
Rune Holta.
And on 4 points, an outside hope of the semis.
Antonio Lindback.
Picked himself up and dusted himself down with a good ride.
Jason Crump.
9 points out of a possible 12, still in contention.
Emil Seifudinov.
Out of contention for the semi-finals, a disappointment.
Artem Laguta.
His Grand Prix education continues for Artem Laguta. Well, we're building up to heat number 17. Chris Harris and his pit crew talking to Chris and working to try and get it right, but it's Golob against Hancock off the inside 2 gates here. Now, can Hancock get the drop on Golob? That's the big question, yeah.
It is a big question. Only time will tell. On current form, who's to say? I think Greg might just pip him off gate 2. You know, he's got that slightly better run going into the first turn, although, you know, you really got your gazy gloves on to beat a guy like Golob.
Been a hugely entertaining night. There's been some crashes. There's been some good refereeing, I think, by Frank Ziegler.
I think so, yeah, definitely. He's been very fair, especially that last one with Lindbeck. You know, it was very easy for him to just follow the rule book and exclude him. And to be honest, you know, Lindbeck had no fault in that.
So the riders climb up the slope in the pits to be pushed off and ready for action for heat number 17. And with Golob and Hancock unbeaten on 11, I say unbeaten, drop 1 point each. They're top of the leaderboard on 11 points apiece alongside Jari Campbell. What can Andreas Jonsson do here now? He's got the 8th place at the moment. He's got 6 points.
And he's got the inside gate.
So AJ might fancy his chances here.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he needs points as well to sort of try and get in the semis. You know, he has a good past record here in Prague, and you know, I was talking to the team before the meeting, and he's starting to find his feet now and get familiar with his new frames. We were all familiar with the old box frames from Michael Blix that he was using.
The master at work, Tomasz Golob, prepares for heat number 17. Golob against Hancock, but don't rule this man out, Andreas Jonsson, who has that inside gate, which has been so favourable for riders so far. This is heat number 17. Golob on 11 points, Hancock on 11. They've both got 35 points each in the World Championship and lead the World Championship, but the riders behind them, significantly, Seifudinov and Pedersen, are losing ground tonight. It's a good night for Golob and for Hancock, and a real chance for both riders to kick on and take a lead to Copenhagen, and quite a cushion over their rivals to Copenhagen in a fortnight's time. So a big opportunity. We're going to see both of them in the semi-finals, Golob and Hancock, but getting first pick is so important with the gate positions here. We'll see what happens in heat 17. Here's your lineup for Heat 17. Andreas Jonsson, a big ride needed off the inside. Tomáš Golub, gate 2 with Hancock off 3. 11 points apiece, 35 points apiece in the World Championship. They lead the championship. Harris off the outside, 3 points to his name so far. Doesn't get any easier for the man from Cornwall in the UK. Heat 17 it is. Golub's pit crew watching on. He looks pretty calm. Every one of these riders has won a Grand Prix in their career at one time or another. But right now, Andreas Jonsson will feel that he needs a big ride off the inside to try and claim a top 8 spot. Big race coming up then, and Golub's not happy with Jonsson's starting position.
I was going to say he's quite close to the start line, but as long as his handlebars on the inside start, then there's no problem.
Heat 17 it is then here in the Czech Republic, and Jonsson's made a beautiful start off the inside, and Hancock off 3. Greg Hancock sweeps across and has the lead. Second place is Jonsson. Tomáš Golub has gone to the back, wheel to wheel. Harris now is going to have a go deep into turns 3 and 4, and the world champion Tomáš Golub is trailing at the back. Greg Hancock has the lead. Golub's come through into third. What a ride from Hancock. I can't remember the last time I saw him ride as well as this consistently.
It's really it's really good ridden, well ridden from Hancock. We see Harris here trying desperately to make up ground on Tomáš Golub, but they're getting a little bit stretched out now. Golub's chasing Jonsson.
Jonsson under severe pressure for second place now. Golub has got third, and Harris is getting close to the world champion. Greg Hancock is going to lead the Grand Prix as Golub goes wide now. Hancock has that lead and has got a cushion here, but Golub's lost ground. Andreas Jonsson now, he'd move on to 8 points and would be in the top 8, heading towards the closing stages of the qualifying heats here. Greg Hancock is going to finish his 5 qualifying rides on 14 points out of a possible 15. Greg Hancock from the USA takes the checkered flag. Andreas Jonsson was second. Third was Tomáš Golub. It was a hard-fought third place. Are we seeing cracks in Tomáš Golub's Grand Prix tonight? He'll be back, you can be sure of that. And Greg Hancock will get first pick in one of the semi-finals. They compare notes there, Hancock and Jonsson. Great sportsmanship in the SGP series. And heat number 17, confirmation of the results. Greg Hancock the winner with Andreas Jonsson second. Tomáš Golub was third. Chris Harris trailing at the back there. And what it means now is that Greg Hancock is the clear leader of the Grand Prix. 14 points, 2 clear of Golub. And that means Hancock leads the World Championship by 2 points as well. And Andreas Jonsson is in the top 8.
Plenty of support for Hancock in the pits here. We shift to the start. Golub falls slightly asleep at the start. Jonsson makes a belting start off the inside, but Hancock off the difficult gate 3 in the white helmet colour has made it count. Really needs to make a start on this one, and he delivered. There we see Golub desperately trying to get the grip going to the first turn. Harris is in there on the outside in the yellow helmet colour, just gone a little bit too wide. Nice close-up there of Greg Hancock, 14 points.
Well, you can't believe he celebrates his 41st birthday next week.
That's Greg incredible.
Hancock.
Yep. Rock and roll.
Absolutely brilliant. Lives in Sweden now, Greg Hancock. Very happily settled in Sweden. And Golub on 12 points, straight back to the bike. And Stefan Andersson there in the pit crew for Greg tonight as well.
Plenty of support there for Greg in the pits. Stefan Andersson is old team manager from Motorlay in Sweden.
Well, we move on to heat number 18, and Nicky Pedersen off the inside gate needs a win here. Chris Holden needs points, so does Kenneth Bier. And Mate Kush is the wild card who has been a spoiler once tonight. Goes off the outside. Chris Harris knows his night is over. A disappointing night for Chris Harris. 3 points he finishes on as we build up to heat number 18. Pedersen has worked hard, but you get a feeling that his points return doesn't really show a true reflection of his efforts tonight. But a win here would give him a great shout of going through. Pedersen on the inside, Chris Holder off gate 2, Kenneth Bier off gate 3, and Mate Kush going off the outside. Chris Holder on 7 points, started well with a couple of wins, and yet he's still got a bit of work to do. No wins for Nicky Pedersen yet, and we know how important race wins are in the GP, and he's made a good start this time. Great start from Nicky Pedersen. Has that lead early on, but coming up the inside in the blue helmet colour now is Chris Holder, and now he's charging hard up the inside of Nicky Pedersen. Mate Kush still very much on the pace. Kenneth Bier is at the back now, and that would mean that Kenneth Bier would finish on 8, and Nicky Pedersen would finish on 8 points as well, but Pedersen would be better off than Bier, but Bier has got third place. 1 point might just be vital for Kenneth Bier.
Yeah, it's a complicated countback system, but what a terrific gate for Nicky Pedersen. He really needed to make this. See, there's a big battle for second place now. Hole is in second place at the moment in front of Bjerre. Tail off at the back is Mate Kush.
Yeah, and a real important second place for Chris Holder. That would put him on to 9, and that would be enough to put him into the semi-finals, because he would finish ahead of Andreas Jonsson and ahead of Nicky Pedersen. But this could be a vital race victory for Nicky Pedersen. One and only race win could be absolutely crucial for him here tonight as he goes into turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Nicky Pedersen has saved his best till last, has to wait to see if it's enough. Gets the victory. Second place for Chris Holder, and third there was Kenneth Bjerre. So Holder and Bjerre will finish on 9 points apiece, and Nicky Pedersen has to wait to see if he's done enough here. He will, by my reckoning, go above Andreas Jonsson, because AJ hasn't won a race. So Nicky Pedersen, with that race win, could take him through to the semi-finals. Every race absolutely vital. Pedersen the winner, Chris Holder second, Kenneth Bjerre was third, Mate Kush trailing in at the back, and this is what it means now. Pedersen, we see there in 7th now, goes ahead of Jonsson, because Pedersen has got a race win to his name. Bjerre and Holder on 9 points apiece, and Freddie Lindgren now all of a sudden under pressure in this next race to get into the semi-finals. But a big ride from Nicky Pedersen there.
Here we see the replay off the inside in red helmet colour. Nicky Pedersen makes a faultless start. Chris Holder is there in second place. He's playing it safe. He's getting to the inside. He gets his wheels in line, tries to get the run up on Nicky. He's very, very close to him right there, but comes off the throttle going into the third turn. Good start off the inside. He really had to make this one count. Kenneth Bjerre makes a bad start off gate 3 and cuts to the inside. It's plan B for him. Mate Kush tries to run around the outside, but there's just not enough dirt there.
It's a good ride from Nicky Pedersen. Needed that one.
Just hitting the dirt at the end of the straight up against the fence to get that launch going into the corners.
So we see Pedersen now with 8 points to his name, and he'll feel a lot happier about things. And Chris Holder on 9 points. And the way it's shaping up, you know, Andreas Jonsson, 8 points, could be overtaken by Fredrik Lindgren here. Lindgren off gate number 2 in heat number 19, needs points. And, well, Jarek Hampel looking for the victory here off gate number 3 on 11 points. That would put him on 14 overall. And Hampel on the countback would miss out on top spot, but would still go through to the semi-finals. So,
and even if Lindbeck wins, he's got third places, so
sure,
Jonsson's going to finish ahead of him.
Yep, Hampel looking good. Heat number 19 it is, and Hampel is in the white helmet off gate number 3. The penultimate race of the qualifiers then, with Rune Holter off the inside. Second off gate number 2 is Freddie Lindgren, 7 points to his name. Needs points here. Jarek Hampel gate 3, and Jonas Kolodze going off the outside here. Lindgren hasn't won a race, has got 7 points. If he gets 1 point here, he will finish on 8 points, which is level with Nicky Pedersen and Andreas Jonsson. And effectively he'd finish behind Pedersen because he hasn't won a race. And then it goes down to what happened between Lindgren and Jonsson, and Lindgren did beat Andreas Jonsson. So third place could be enough for Lindgren, the man in the blue helmet colour here. And away from the start they go, and Rune Holter has made a good one there as they go wide. Lindgren, oh, it's all very tight, and Lindgren has been relegated to the back. Shock result for the Swede if it stays like that. And the man in white, Jarek Hampel, now is coming on strong in second place. Lindgren knows he has to wind it on. He knows he has to try and pass Kolodze here to get into the semi-finals. He's going high and wide, and Fredrik Lindgren down that back straight can't quite get Kolodze. Now he can. 1 point, absolutely precious here.
That could be crucial. I thought for a second there Hampel had gone out too far. He was out so far he almost had to pay to get back in the stadium, but he's in second place. He got his wheels in line, got that little bit of grip coming off the corner, but Rune Holter, who would have thought that? Perfect start off the inside, and he's leading now on the slick track.
Well,
Hampel second.
8 points looks like it could well be the cut-off for a semi-final place. Lindback's still got to come out in the next one on 5 points. He's out in heat number 20.
He's got the speed on Holter. He's chasing him.
Certainly is.
He's going to have a last run now.
Yep, the lead is with Holter. He's going to take the checkered flag. And Jarek Hampel finishes second, which means that Greg Hancock leads the Grand Prix going into the semi-finals. We know that now for sure. Hancock, Hampel, Golub is the top 3 going into the semi-finals of this Grand Prix. And Rune Holter, he'll be thinking, why couldn't I do that earlier? He's got it right late on here. Rune Holter. Too little too late, though. He won't make the top 8 cut because he's finished on 7 points. And, well, it's getting all very tight for the top 8. Lindback still in with a chance in the top 8. Now, heat number 19, the result. Holter the winner, Hampel was second, Lindgren was third, Kolodze at the back, and even that 1 point just gives Lindgren a chance, but it might not be enough for him. 8 points apiece, and by my reckoning, Lindgren beat Jonsson, so he should be in 8th place, but Lindback can still catch him with a win in the next race.
Here we see off the start of gate 2. Freddie Lindgren, he's there off the start, but Holter makes a brilliant start off the inside. He's got the line going into the corner. Hampel, very, very wide, trying to get around Lindgren. And Kolodze capitalizes and gets into 3rd place. Here we go, Rune Holter out in the lead, concentrating on getting those 3 points. Hampel in 2nd place, Lindgren's up to 3rd place, and this is the very important point, the crucial point that he needed to qualify for the semi-finals. Holter's happy with that one. Thumbs up from him. He's talking to his team. Do we need to change anything? I don't think so. His bike's working great.
Well,
just keep the gas on, his manager's telling him.
We're not going to see him again tonight, Rune Holter, because he's outside of the top 8. 7 points to his name. Heat number 20, and this race now is all about Antonio Lindback in the yellow helmet colour. Lindback needs to win the race to go level with Nicky Pedersen, Andreas Jonsson and Freddie Lindgren on 8 points. And if Lindback does win it, by my reckoning, he will sneak into the semi-finals on the countback by virtue of a race win. So it's win or bust for Antonio Lindback.
We've seen this before.
Artem Laguta off the inside, so Fudinov off 2, Jason Crump off 3, Lindback off the outside. They're my calculations. Do you agree with them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've seen this before. It comes down to race wins. Chris Holder can tell you all about that.
Well, Jonsson hasn't won a race, and neither has Lindgren, and they're on 8 points apiece. So if Lindback wins this race, he'll go on to 8 points, and he will go through because of that race win. Can he make the start? He doesn't. Saifudinov makes a good one off gate number 2. Now what can Jason Crump do in the white helmet colour? Lindback comes through into 3rd. Down the back straight is a real close battle here. 3 riders going for it. The lead is with the brilliant young Russian Saifudinov. He's got the lead at the moment, but Jason Crump is all over him. And Antonio Lindback is still very much on the pace. Good race emerging here, Jan.
Yeah, Lindback's coming back into contention, but Crump's got it covered. He'd switch it to the inside. Covers the line for Lindback. Lindback was getting a good run on the inside on him whilst Crump was trying the outside to pass Saifudinov, but he's got it covered now.
Well, you get the feeling Jason will settle for this because it'll get him into the semi-finals, and he finishes 5 rides on 11 points a fortnight after heading to hospital in Sweden with a dislocated shoulder, so not a bad night's work.
Absolutely. If you'd told him that before the meeting, he would have settled for it, I'm sure.
Saifudinov then going into the last lap, just showing us all what a special young talent he is. Riding for the Coventry Bees in the British Elite League now. He'll ride for them against Poole on Monday, Bank Holiday Monday, at Brandon Stadium. And what an exciting young rider he is. They call him the Lionel Messi of Speedway. Emil Saifudinov, the victor. Jason Crump heads to the semi-final. Antonio Lindback misses out. And what a ride from Emil Saifudinov. The Russians are happy, and he will take that win forward with him, to Copenhagen in a fortnight. He knows he's not had the best of nights, but he's rounded off with a win, and he can take some consolation from that, Jan.
Absolutely, yeah. It's there's nothing worse than coming home from a meeting with a bad last ride. You know, you might have had such a good night, but if the last ride's bad, the whole night's bad.
8:20 then. Saifudinov the race winner. Jason Crump was second. Antonio Lindback third, and Artem Laguta trailing at the back. So 20 races completed. Jason Crump through to the semi-finals. This man, though, needed a win.
Here we see off the start, we're focusing on Lindback. He's desperately clutching it going to the first turn, but he's not getting there. Crump's really made a really good start off gate 3. Gate 3's been difficult all night. Here he is in the dirt, gets his wheels in line, but he sees Saifudinov in the inside. He's got the speed, got the first place, and he settles for second. Didn't quite get the run on him. He tries desperately around the outside, gets his wheels in line, sits back on the bike, stretches his arms, but Saifudinov has done it just that little bit earlier and has got the run on him.
He's such a special talent. He's great to watch, isn't he, Jan?
Yeah, here we see him bouncing across the track. Full control.
Saifudinov's night is over, but he will take that win as a confidence boost going into Copenhagen in a fortnight. And Jason Crump knows that his place in the semi-final is secure. He's 4th in the Grand Prix tonight in the standings with those 11 points. But Saifudinov, well, that exclusion earlier on in the meeting for Emil is surely proving costly. His 3rd and 4th rides he failed to score, but Jason Crump, don't rule him out from winning the meeting from here, Jan.
Oh, absolutely not. No, everybody starts from scratch here in the semi-finals.
And this is what will affect the way the riders pull out their gate positions for the semi-finals.
And again, we see it's the inside gate that's doing all the big scores. Gates 1 and 2.
And it's
really don't. Gate 3's kind of come good in the end. We saw Hancock made a really good start off there, but first pick's gotta be red.
And it's Hancock and Hampel who will get the first picks in the respective semi-finals. So, well, quite a night emerging here in Prague. 20 qualifying races. They've been fast and furious. 1 or 2 crashes along the way. But again, it just underlines how keenly competitive, Jan, the SGP series has become. They talk about the best ever lineup this year. And again, as Prague Grand Prix goes, I have to say, this is one of the most enjoyable Prague Grand Prix we've had, I think. Would you agree?
Absolutely, yeah. It's the racing's been top-notch. There's been overtaken, there's been drama, there's been excitement. Yeah, it's been a really good Czech Grand Prix so far, and it's not over yet.
No. Well, the best bit is yet to come. 2 semi-finals to come, and the final. As it stands at the moment, Greg Hancock, 14 points, leads the World Championship, 2 clear of Tomáš Golub, going in overall to the semi-finals. So, we see Freddie Lindgren confirmation sneaks into the semi-finals at 8 points. Hancock, Hampel, Golub, Crump, Holder, Pierre, Pedersen, and Lindgren. It just shows you, even 8 points doesn't guarantee you a place in the semi-finals. That's how competitive it is, really. As we build up to the semis, the riders are now known for the semi-finals here in the FIM Markéta Czech Republic Speedway Grand Prix here in Prague. And hard to predict a winner really now here, Jan, because I thought Tomáš Golub was head and shoulders above the rest, and then in his last outing finished 3rd, managed 3 points from his last 2 rides, so maybe he's not the invincible I thought he was.
No, he certainly looked it early on, but there's been a lot of catch-up done by the other riders, and you know, tinkering with their setups of their bikes all night long. Some of them have certainly got it spot on. You know, you'd be hard-pressed to bet against Greg Hancock.
Well,
last Grand Prix he won here was 14 years ago. Could he do it again?
Astonishing, yep. 1997, the year that Hancock won the world title. What a fairy tale story it would be if Greg Hancock could be world champion again this year, Jan.
Well, you know, he's certainly got the form for it. You know, his bikes are working really good at the moment. He's got a good backup team. You know, he's happy with his lot, and yeah, it shows on the track.
And it would be all very ironic to have 14 years gap between world titles. Hey, here's us talking about who's going to be world champion. It's only round 3 of 11. Yeah. We've got the rest of the year to look forward to, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it is a great lineup, and the SGP series continues to just go from strength to strength.
It does. It's a fabulous show. We just saw the nice pictures here over Prague. What a fabulous city that is.
It's great to be here in Prague tonight. We just await the semi-final draw now for the 2 semi-finals. Here's the riders ready to make their pick. Greg Hancock first of all. Red or blue? He goes for red. So Greg Hancock off the inside in the first semi-final. Jason Crump goes for gate 2. There's no major surprise there. Kenneth Pierre goes for the outside gate. 9 points for Kenneth.
I don't think Nicky's going to be unhappy about this. He made a half-decent start off gate 3 as far as I remember.
Sure. Yep, so Nicky Pedersen has to settle for white gate 3 in the semi-final, the first semi-final here in Prague. Jarek Hampel will have first pick for the second semi-final. He goes off the inside gate. No major surprise, really, the way they're picking the gate positions here. Golub surely will go for blue.
You'd think so, yeah. Has to have a little think about it. Gate 2 it is.
Well, there's a shock. Tomáš Golub goes for blue. 12 points to his name so far. And Chris Holder heads for gate number 3. 2 wins to start the night. Needed a second place to make sure of a place in the semi-final. It's not going to be easy for that man, Freddie Lindgren, off gate number 4, with such quick riders inside him, Jan.
No, Holder just seems to have gone slightly off the boil here towards the end. He'll be wanting to make sure that he's on the ball as far as the setup goes and the track changes.
Beautiful pictures of the city of Prague. 15 years, 15 seasons of the Czech Republic Grand Prix. Now let's confirm the lineups for the 2 semi-finals for you.
Kenneth Bjerg.
9 points for Kenneth so far.
Nicky Peterson.
Needed a win in his last ride to qualify, and he did it.
Jason Crump.
A steady performance tonight from Jason with 11 points.
Greg Hancock.
Leads the Grand Prix and the World Championship right now.
Freddie Lindgren.
Sneaked in with 8 points to his name.
Chris Holder.
Needed a second place in his last outing to qualify.
Tomáš Golub.
Looked like he was going to be the leader at one stage of this meeting, but on 12
Jarek
now.
Hampel.
Very quick on 13 points. Jarek Hampel.
There'll be some pressure on Greg here because it you have seen in the past where he's been blistering in the heats. You know, when it comes to the semi-finals, he sometimes loses out. You know, I don't know if it's track conditions or concentration, but he needs to be on the top of his game here.
Absolutely. And really has been terrific entertainment here tonight. And the race for the world title very much on here because we see that Chris Holder, who was on 19 points before tonight, is in the semi-finals. If he can get through to the final, of course, the points count for double in the final itself, and that is crucial, Jan.
Every point is crucial in a Grand Prix because, you know, as the old saying goes, points make prizes. At the end of the season, it all tots up, and then you might just need one single point. We've seen that in the past, and here the riders are getting ready. Hancock there putting his kill switch on.
So, who do you think from here will go and emerge as the winner of the Czech Grand Prix? I think it's just too difficult to predict here.
Well, like you said earlier, it would be a fairy tale if Greg Hancock could do it. Riders are on the track now. Hancock's first out, then Nicky Pedersen, then Jason Crump.
Yep, will Hancock be first to the checkered flag, we wonder?
This is the lineup worthy of a final.
Absolutely right. It is a tremendous lineup, a mouth-watering field for the first semi-final here. First semi-final of the Czech Republic Grand Prix here in the Markéta Stadium in Prague, and what a lineup it is. This will be worth the admission money alone. Whatever happens, we're going to have a big name casualty. Richard Child, Greg Hancock's manager, watching on. Got to be happy with the way it's gone so far tonight. For Greg Hancock in the red helmet colour and the red race jacket. We remind you the race jackets, the back of the race jackets this year do correspond with the colour of the rider's crash helmet, just to help with rider identification. Should have mentioned that earlier in the show perhaps, but Hancock in the red race jacket and the red helmet colour as well. Nice little touch from the organisers this year. First semi-final on the way. What a lineup for the first semi-final of the FIM Markéta Czech Republic Speedway Grand Prix. Greg Hancock going off the inside in red, leader of the GP and the World Championship going into this race. Jason Crump, gate 2, 11 points to his name. Gate 3 in white is Nicky Pedersen, sneaked into the semi-final, 8 points so far. Kenneth Bjerg going off the outside in yellow. This is going to be a rare old battle, and there's plenty of nerves in the pitch, Jan Steckman.
There certainly is, and we saw there was a bit of a rush to get, you know, the riders have to change the race jackets as well as the helmet colours, and we saw the start marshal just had to help Jason Crump get his race jacket on properly before the start.
So, first semi-final of the Czech Grand Prix. Which way will it go? And away from the start. Hancock's made a good one. Crump's equal to him as well, though. Pedersen dives up the inside now. It's all very tight. Crump has to turn off the gas. Hancock has the lead and he's looking absolutely brilliant down that back straight, going into turn 3, and Crump has gone wide now. Crump's winding it all on. Pedersen is third. Bier is at the back. Crump will settle for second, but he's got a real tiger on his tail here, Jan.
Yeah, it was a good start from Greg Hancock. He was very clever in the first corner, covered his inside line, just touched the curb going into the corner, made sure there was nobody could come up with a plan B and cut along the inside of him. Jason Crump's got into a good second place there. They're pulling away a little bit from Nicky Pedersen. He's going to be chasing hard though, but Kenneth Bier, it looks like curtains for him.
Well, this will put Greg Hancock onto 17 big points. Remember, every point counts towards your overall Grand Prix total throughout the season. He was on, 24 points before tonight. He was on a tremendous total, joined with Thomas Golub going into this meeting. And Hancock is carving up the opposition. He is looking simply superb here. Greg Hancock of the United States of America gets through to the final, and so does Jason Crump of Australia. Nicky Pedersen's night is over. He finishes on 9. So does Kenneth Bier. 9 points for him. But Hancock marches on with 17 points. And Jason Crump goes through to the final with 13 points. He needed a good one tonight, Crump, and he's got it. But that man, Greg Hancock, is riding immaculately, Jan.
He is. He's really on fire at the moment, and he'll be happy to, well, goes without saying he will be happy to make the final, but he'll be happy to make it past the semi-final.
Hancock the race winner then. Second place was Jason Crump. Third, Nicky Pedersen finishes on 9, and Kenneth Bier finished at the back there. So, these are the standings. Greg Hancock on 17 points. Jarek Hampel 13 and Jason Crump 13.
And this, of course, also means that he'll have first choice for the final. And who's to say he'll go for gate 1 again?
Why not? And this is what gate 1 does for him.
What a fabulous start. Slight lift there, perfect. Crump's with him. Hancock covers the inside. Nicky Pedersen comes up alongside Crump. Crump has to move out a little bit, gets his wheels in line quicker, and just has it at the end of the straight. Nice pictures here. Crump's a little bit high in the air. Does get there though. Turns the bike. Gets his wheels in line. He's from a different angle. Hancock on the inside makes a perfect start. That's what he needed.
He's just immaculate, Jan, isn't he? The way he rides the bike, and using all his years of experience, he is simply stunning, and he's loving his speedway right now.
He certainly is. He's happy with that one, and so is Richard Child.
Quite right too. Happy days in the Hancock camp, but there's still a job to do in the final. Crump will be delighted to get through to the final after his injury problems of Gothenburg a fortnight or so ago. But who will join them? Golub has changed bike twice tonight now. Hampel, Golub, Holder and Lindgren is the lineup for the semi-final. And Hampel and Golub are off the inside 2 gates. You have to fancy them here, Jan.
You certainly do. You know, it's all about the track is getting slick. You know, it is slick in the first turn. You got to cover the line.
Hampel off the inside in red then. Gate 2 in blue is Thomas Golub. Gate 3 is Chris Holder. 9 points for him. And Freddie Lindgren off the outside, the man who just edged into the semi-finals on the countback system. How often do we see that happen? And then the guy that edged through goes into the final as well. How he'd love to do that, but it's a tall order for Lindgren with the fast starting poles off the inside 2 gates.
Any of these 4 guys could win the Grand Prix.
Second semi-final it is then, away from the start. Hampel has made a textbook getaway. Now what can Holder do here? He's putting Thomas Golub under severe pressure. Freddie Lindgren's coming back as well. Chris Holder's got second place. Thomas Golub is squeezed into third place right now. The lead is with Jarek Hampel. Chris Holder is second. Golub's in trouble here. He has to wind it on, otherwise he's going to miss out. And now Lindgren is going wide. Lindgren's lost ground at the back. Now Golub is going to need every bit of his world-class experience as he comes up the inside.
Brilliant ride by Holder. Oh, he's on the back, no. He's off. Oh, that's going to hurt in the morning.
That is disaster for Chris Holder. Absolute disaster. He was riding superbly, and a second chance for Thomas Golub.
Under immense pressure going into the third turn from Thomas Golub. Just maybe didn't quite pick the line that he wanted to because he was under so much pressure. The bike lifted, he reared, he was out of control for a split second, but that was all it took. And White's excluded.
Well, here we see the incident. He's just lost control of the bike, and it's a great chance for Golub a second time now. It's obviously first thoughts are with Chris. Let's hope that he's going to be up and okay after that incident.
That's a shame because he really did all the hard work. Here we see the bike lifting. He hits one of the ruts Prague is notorious for making ruts in the corners from the back wheel, spinning through the corners. Well, it's a long walk back to the pits. That's a shame.
He's walking back and he actually put his arms up as if to say, look, what is going on there? He's just hit a bit of the track. And it's cost him a place in the final after leading Tomáš Golub. He's going to be absolutely devastated. Yeah,
he is, but unfortunately, them's the rules. You know, you can't really. We saw the referee stretch it a little bit with Antonio Lindback to the second corner, but yeah, this was what, the third lap or second lap. You can't really do anything about it. Here we see it again. Yeah, he's on his own. He rears. He's out of control. It's a clear-cut case, to be honest. It's very unfortunate because he'd done all the hard work. He was in second place, comfortably into second place, and he was looking at making another final.
And it's a second chance, not just for Golub, but for Lindgren as well now.
Absolutely, absolutely. They will all see it as a second chance, fresh lease of life, if you will.
And on the other flip side of the coin, Hampel has to go and do it again now. How quick was he looking? But he knows that he's got to go and do it again.
Yeah, and there's a lot of psychology in there. There'll be a psychological game between him and Golub, the top poles, to see who is actually going to make the final.
Have to feel so sorry for Chris Holder. Ran right out of luck there. Sometimes speedway can be a cruel sport. But Tomáš Golub knows he's got a chance to sneak into the final.
Can take a lot of encouragement from it, though.
Very much so. Wonder what Chris Holder has to say about it. Let's find out with Steve Brandon now.
Chris Holder, you nearly did all the hard work.
Oh no, it's pretty disappointing. You know, I changed bikes that last time and was really quick and made an awesome start out of 3, and I was sort of stuck on the. I couldn't get over enough where I wanted to be because I was a bit too close to Hampel. But you know, I'm bummed with that one. I really wanted to get through to the final. I had a great chance.
I mean, it's probably not consolation now, but 9 points tonight is a pretty good haul.
Yeah, it's good, but I made a big mistake in a race previously and lost another 2 points, and then I just went out and did that, so I'm not happy.
I'll keep learning, mate.
Understandably, Chris Holder devastated by that.
Yeah, yeah, he'll be disappointed. It'll be a long drive home for sure, but he can take comfort from the fact that, you know, he's had another brilliant Grand Prix. You know, we gotta keep in mind that he's one of the youngsters, and he's just stepped right up to the plate. I mean, he's already won a Grand Prix this year.
Yeah, he's got to take that to Copenhagen, a little bit like Saifudinov with his last race win. He's got to take that forward to a fortnight's time.
Absolutely, you know, it's all about building, and then hopefully at the end of it you get the big prize.
So we prepare for the semi-finals, second time of asking, 3 riders only. No Chris Holder off gate number 3. We already know that we've got Hancock and Crump in the final, and it'll be 2 from 3, Hampel, Golub or Lindgren.
We're under 2 minutes, there's just a little bit over a minute left, and there's only one rider on the track, and that's Tomáš Golub.
No major surprise, he will feel this is a great chance, a second opportunity for Golub, but he doesn't quite look happy with his setup though. He's shaking his head after that practice start.
He quite often comes out and takes a practice start on one bike and then goes back and swaps it for another one. He's got tremendous confidence in his equipment.
So another swap of bikes for Tomáš Golub. It's make your mind up time for Tomáš Golub.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
And it's make or break in his hopes to reach the final of the Czech Republic Grand Prix here in at the Markéta Stadion, Prague. Golub won this Grand Prix last year, remember, and he's still in with a shout of winning it again as we build up to this second semi-final now. Jarek Hampel off the inside in red, very quick in that first staging of the race. Tomáš Golub, gate number 2 in blue. No rider off 3, Holder excluded. And Freddie Lindgren going off the outside in the yellow helmet colour. This is the second semi-final of the Czech Republic Grand Prix.
Notice how Lindgren's changed tack here. He was right up against the fence in the first one, but now he's right up against gate 3.
So, Freddie Lindgren, yep, there's the point, the man on the outside in yellow. Point that Jan Steckman was making. He's a lot more inside now as we look towards the second semi-final and away from the start. And this time Golub has made a beauty. Second time of asking, and no mistake at all from that man, Tomáš Golub. Second place, Jarek Hampel. Third place is Freddie Lindgren, who looks like he's going to miss out on a place in the final. But Golub with a second chance, and he's grabbing it with both hands here, ahead of his fellow countryman, Jarek Hampel. But Lindgren is still on the pace and is not out of this altogether yet.
He's got plenty of speed. I did feel that he would probably benefit from going wide in the first turn, but he cut back to the inside and lost a bit of ground there. He's still quite a little bit of a ways behind. He hit that whole great Chris Holder hit earlier on, but Golub's got it under control. Hampel in second, and Freddie Lindgren, unfortunately, is stuck in third place.
Well, Lindgren only just sneaked into the semi-final, so it's a bonus point, you could argue, for Lindgren, but just slightly disappointed that he can't actually quite reach the final itself. But Jarek Hampel is looking as though he's going to reach a 6th successive final here in Prague. Tomáš Golub has the lead, and he's making it look very comfortable here, and it just shows what you can make of a second chance. Tomáš Golub and Jarek Hampel both heading through to the final of the Czech Republic Grand Prix. Golub saying thank you very much. Chris Holder's loss is very much Tomáš Golub's gain, and sometimes that's just the bit of luck you need, Jan, as a speedway rider.
Absolutely. You know, you got to take the breaks as they come along, and if you get a second chance, you got to grab it with both hands, just like Tomáš Golub did there. He was almost toying with Hampel on the last corner, almost slowing down to say, see, I've got it, son.
So Lindgren, Pedersen and Bier all finish on 9 points tonight. So does Chris Holder. Golub the winner. Jarek Hampel second. They're through to the final alongside Hancock and Crum. What a final lineup it is. It's going to be sensational. And there we see the scores. Golub and Hampel tucked in just 2 points behind Greg Hancock. And that final, make sure you don't miss it. Yeah, terrific lineup for the final, and Golub needed no second invitation there, Jan.
No, Golub made a fantastic start off gate 2. I did think Hampel had it covered, but Golub's bike just seemed to work out a little bit better on the run to the first turn, and he was able to just, clamp him down on the inside.
Just the way he clamped him there was superb.
There wasn't a lot of room there. This could have been Freddie's chance to get the big run around the outside. The mechanics are happy. They're in the final. Hampel lets the clutch out, does have to clutch it a little bit hard because he lifts too much initially. Golub's got to drive, his front wheel's on the ground, the bike's going forward. He's winning.
Brilliant ride from Golub.
Good first turn.
And it was Chris Holder who led him, and I don't think Golub would have passed Chris Holder in that previous race.
No, he had a fair bit of air there, and they had, 1.5 laps to go, so you'd be hard-pressed to think that it was going to change.
Well, Tomáš Golub, don't rule him out of winning the final. You can never rule him out because he was particularly impressive there in that semi-final. And now we'll take a look at where the riders may decide to go in terms of gate positions. Greg Hancock will have first choice. Got to be the inside two are so dominant here, Jan.
Yeah, gate 1 is still the one to be on, I feel. You know, the ruts, we can see from our commentary position that the ruts are getting really deep. The track staff are covering up the ruts, which is not helpful to the riders at all, because they'll just have to dig them out again.
Well, what a final lineup this is. This is sensational. Greg Hancock, 17 points tonight. He's going to take the inside. Shock horror. Greg Hancock off the inside. Now, Mr. Golub. He goes for gate 2.
Not much surprise there either.
So, Jarek Hampel now will go for gate number 4. Interesting there. And Jason Crump off gate 3. He'll be a determined, fired-up rider, Jason Crump, you can be sure of that.
He's got nothing to lose, I don't think. You know, that's how he'll be looking at it.
So the grand final is coming up here in the Markéta Stadium, Prague. It's been a scintillating night of speedway, plenty of high drama and entertainment. Here's the lineup for the final then.
Jarek Hampel.
Beaten by Golub in the semi-final after leading the first staging.
Jason Crump.
Well, Crump in good form tonight, riding well.
Tomáš Golub.
Golub, who won his semi-final to move on to 15 points.
Greg Hancock.
And Greg Hancock is now on 17 points in the final. So the grand final coming up then. Hancock, Golub, Crump and Hampel. Hancock is now on 17 points. Tomáš Golub is on 15. Jason Crump is on 13. And Jarek Hampel is on 15 points. So that's the way it is for the semi-final. And remember, before tonight, Tomáš Golub and Greg Hancock were level at the top of the World Championship on 24 points apiece. But remember, the final counts for double.
It does, it does. And as we're talking about stats, we saw in our fabulous stats pack earlier that there's a trend with Prague that whoever, over the last 7 or 8 years, whoever's won the Grand Prix here, I think it's 5 out of 7 or something like that, has actually gone on to win the World Championship.
Wow, that's incentive enough for a rider to win the final here. It is quite a lineup, and it's so hard to predict, but those gate positions, how important are they going to be, Jan, for Hancock off 1 and Golub off 2?
They're going to be crucial because the track, as we say, as the night goes on, is getting slicker and slicker. They have, in the last 2 services, they've not put any water on the track, so it's not gone more slippery, because we can already see from here that in the corners, it is slightly shiny, which means that it's slippery. They've elected not to put any more water on. They have graded the track. Gate 1 is therefore crucial because you'll be having the shortest run to the first turn, and you'll be on that polished line where the grip is early on, because there's what little bit of dirt there is too far out. So you can't really go for it in the first corner, but trust one of these 4 guys to try and prove me wrong now.
And we've got the top 3 riders from last year in the final of the Czech Republic Grand Prix. Golub, Hampel and Crump all doing battle here. So many statistics that you can look at, with what almost 60 Grand Prix wins between the 4 finalists.
And interestingly, I've not seen Jason's engine tuner Finn Ronny Jensen with him tonight, but it doesn't seem to have done him any harm.
Absolutely. The final's on the way.
And we saw Jason here was desperate to get out on the track. He pushed his way forward in front of the 2 poles to get out on the track early. Gets his chain lubricated and is ready for the race.
Well, such a high-quality lineup here. 190 Grand Prix finals between them. 54 Grand Prix wins between them. What a lineup it promises to be here in the final of the Czech Republic Grand Prix. In the context of the battle for the World Championship, before tonight, Greg Hancock was the leader on 24 points. He's now moved on to 41. Tomáš Golub was level with him on 24 points before tonight. He's scored 15 now, so he's 2 behind. He's on 39 points, Tomáš Golub. But remember, points scored in the final count for double. Here's the final lineup then. Greg Hancock off the inside. Tomáš Golub off gate 2. Jason Crump goes off gate 3. Jarek Hampel off the outside. 54 Grand Prix wins between these 4 riders. 190 Grand Prix final appearances between them. Who is going to win this? Jan, the inside 2 gate positions you do feel could be vital here.
Absolutely, you'd be hard pressed to bet against either of those 2. You know, all 4 riders have been on absolute top form tonight. Otherwise, they would have been in this final. It's going to be a cracking first turn.
And the top 3 riders in the world from last year doing battle. Golub, the world champion. Hampel 2nd, Crump 3rd in last year's World Championship. Can we do it? We're not sure, says Team Golub. Anyone from 4. And the inside 2 gate positions, as we say, Hancock in red, Golub in blue, could be absolutely vital here.
We have seen in the night, though, that all of a sudden somebody from gate 3 or 4 will come out and do the odd one.
Well, can Crump or Hampel do the odd one from the outside? Points count for double in the final. This is the final of the Czech Republic Grand Prix, and away from the start they go. It's all very tight in that first turn. Surely the referee's got to call it back. Yes, he has. The red light is on. Crump has gone down, and the red light has come on straight away. And quite clearly, all 4 riders bunching together in the first turn there. And Frank Ziegler, the referee, has put the red lights on. No exclusion lights at the moment. Surely it has to be all 4.
Well, you'd think so, but having said that, it was a little bit of a half-hearted get-off from Jason Crump there. We see it here, they all bunch together going into the corner. Yes, there's contact, there's bad contact, but he seems to fall off as a bit of an afterthought. Depending on what mode the referee's in, you know, this could be quite a harsh one. Yeah, no, I think he'll put all 4 back in.
Yeah, he's gone down after the impact,
Yeah.
but it's the first turn, and probably most referees would put all 4 back in, you would have thought.
You would have thought so. I mean, initially it did look as if it was sort of, oh well, I'll try it, but I'm perhaps being unfair on Jason there.
Well, all 4 riders for the restart. Frank Ziegler.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Making that call.
We've come to see 4 riders in the final.
And it was a tough first turn. And no major surprise that it was so tight in that first turn.
No, it's, you know, these guys are battling for the World Championships, and, you know, no quarter asked, no quarter given.
Well, we'll try again. I wonder how much damage was done to Jason's bike there. Minimal, perhaps, yeah?
Yeah, you know, it will depend on how hard the impact hit and where it hit. But you'd think that he'd be okay to use the same bike again. He needs fresh gloves. Yeah. He's covered in the red shale that lies out wide.
Yeah, and he knows that the pressure will be on time-wise pretty soon when Ziegler puts the 2-minute button on. What an atmosphere there is here in the Markéta Stadium, and what a final lineup it is. As you said, Jan, they want to come forward and see 4 riders in a final, and that's exactly what Frank Ziegler has enabled to happen there with that first turn incident, calling all 4 riders back. It was so tight in that first turn.
Yeah, he's been a very good referee tonight, been very fair, and that was really the fair. They're on the 2 minutes now. No, they're not.
He's not
yet.
got the clock ticking yet, but
no.
This man Jason Crump has won here 3 times. He did it in 02, 03 and 04, so he knows the fastest way around here.
He's got some clean gloves.
Yep.
He'll be ready to go. They're just changing the jet on the bike. You can see his mechanics got the carburetor off. They're changing the main jet. Here we see the restart from above. Crump in gate 3 just get boxed, get sandwiched by the 2 poles.
Well, Frank Ziegler with all 4 riders back. The 2 minutes hasn't started ticking away yet, the 2-minute warning for the riders. So Frank Ziegler giving a little bit of extra time for the boys to get ready again.
Greg will be cursing his luck because that was a textbook start off the inside there.
Hampel made a good one. There were 4, didn't he?
He certainly did.
So it's still, we have no further clues or ideas as to which way this final is going to go. 1 or 2 running repairs for Jason Crump's machinery.
Yeah, I would have imagined them to put maybe a slightly bigger jet in to get him a bit more fuel off the start line, get him a bit more grip. Changing the chain guard. There'll be lots of dirt in the chain guard and in the clutch and the chains and whatnot, and they'll be making sure that they got all the stones out of it, because it only takes a small stone to make the chain pop off. And you see all those springs and the screws in the clutch there. There's 6 springs and 6 screws that sit in little cups, and they'll be full of dirt right now. So it's important to get all that scrubbed out of the bike so it's ready for the restart. He's checking the throttle. They're keen to see if the 2 minutes is on, and it is in fact counting down.
Yeah, the 2-minute warning is on. Jason Crump with 70 Grand Prix finals. He's won 22 of them. Terrific Grand Prix record. He averages 14.5 points in a Grand Prix. Jason,
it's amazing statistics.
Pretty good effort from 125 outings in the Grand Prix series.
Absolutely.
And he's actually only 11 Grand Prix behind Greg Hancock, who's ridden in every one. So all 4 riders back for the restart then of a final that we just cannot wait to see. The top 3 riders in the world from last year, 4 of the top 5 riders in the world from last year, doing battle head-to-head in the final of the FIM Czech Republic Speedway Grand Prix. Hancock is first to the tapes. Will he be first to the checkered flag here? Will Golub make the second chance count like he did in his semi-final?
Well, you never know. I mean, all the riders come out and they got new tyres on for every race. We could see Greg Hancock's not got his wheel disc in this one. They've obviously been pressed for time to change his back wheel. Who knows if they've made any other changes to the bike to make it hook up from the start a little bit. I thought it was an absolute belting start he made in the first running of this heat. The mechanics are having a laugh amongst themselves. They can't do anything else. It's all up to the riders now, and they're sitting on the start line.
Well, the final is on the way. Greg Hancock on 17 points, Tomasz Golub and Jarek Hampel on 15, Jason Crump on 13. The top 4 scorers in the final. Second time of asking. Here we go. Hancock off the inside, Golub off 2, Crump off 3, and Hampel off the outside. Who will win the Czech Republic Grand Prix? Golub has won here last year and in 1999. Of these 4 finalists, There's only Jarek Hampel who hasn't won here in Prague. It's the final. It's the second time of asking. Who's going to make a getaway? Oh, Crump jumped to the start a little bit there, and it's all very tight. And the lead is with Hancock, but Hampel comes around, and he's taking him wide. Is Greg Hancock now. Hancock's got the lead. Oh, there's fun and games as Jarek Hampel tries again. Golub is third. Jason Crump is trailing at the back, but Greg Hancock has the lead. He celebrates his 41st birthday next week, and he's on the verge of winning the Czech Republic Grand Prix.
What a birthday present that would be. They were all jostling for positions in the first turn. Coming on the back wheel, going out the second turn, but we got Greg Hancock in the red helmet collar leading the way, Hampel in second, Golub's chasing in third, and Jason's tail off a little bit at the back.
Still Hampel is having a go. This would be 6 big points for Hancock and just 2 for Tomáš Golub. So what it would mean is that
Hampel's
Greg Hancock
go.
would be 6 points clear in the World Championship, but Hampel is still having a go, as you say, Jan, into the last lap. Hampel is winding it on. He's going wide, Jarek Hampel. Greg Hancock has still got it all to do down the back straight. It's going to be one big dive from Jarek Hampel, who is going to get to the checkered flag. Will it
Hancock's
be
on the
Hancock?
inside.
Hancock inside, and he's just got there.
Greg Hancock, what a win for Captain America.
What a ride from Greg Herbie Hancock. He leads the World Championship. Hampel tried everything, but it's Greg Hancock, the oldest man in Grand Prix Speedway, who wins the Czech Republic Grand Prix. He finished level with the winner in Gothenburg, Chris Holder, and now he's won in his own right and has scored 23 points here tonight for 6 points in the final. And it's Greg Hancock, winner of the Czech Republic Grand Prix.
What a fantastic final to finish off the Czech Grand Prix here in Prague. Greg Hancock made a superb start off the inside, covered all bases, got his wheels aligned quickly, got the speed going down the straight, and here he is taking the applause of the crowd. Magnificent result. Well done, mate.
He's nearly doubled his Grand Prix score now. He's up to 47 points in the championship. Hancock the winner. Hampel was second, 4 big points for him. Tomáš Golub was third, 2 points for him. He finishes tonight with 17 points, and Jason Crump trailing at the back there, but that was a massive result for Greg Hancock.
Just dropped the 1 point all night long.
Yeah, absolutely. He's one of the sport's nice guys. So he's dropped just 1 point all night in 7 rides. Sensational.
That's fantastic. Excellent result. Well done, mate.
And what a fairy tale story it would be if Greg Hancock could be crowned World Speedway Champion 14 years after the last time he did it.
Well, yeah, like you said, you know, it would be a fairy tale. And when we saw from the stats pack, like we mentioned earlier, there is a certain statistic that will indicate that whoever wins the Czech Grand Prix has got a very good chance of becoming world champion. I think it was 5 out of 7 of the last 7 Grand Prix winners here in Prague have actually gone on to win the World Championship. And at 41 years of age, you know, that would just be an absolute fairy tale for Greg Hancock.
Well, he's 6 points clear of the World Championship now of Tomáš Golub, going into Copenhagen in a fortnight's time.
Let's look at the replay here. Greg Hancock, red helmet collar, makes a brilliant start. Hampel is nearly there with him. He's got to straighten up ever so slightly. Goes too wide, cuts back. Golub's there. It's all happening on the first turn. Golub off gate 2 in the blue helmet collar. Doesn't quite make the start. Hampel's there off gate 4. Gate 4 has not been very good all night long, but he certainly made it count here in the final. Has to switch back to miss Greg's back wheel. Yet another angle. Hancock on the inside. Hampel in yellow. Just got to straighten up ever so slightly. Hancock covers the line, and he's got the win.
He had to use all his experience and knowledge to win that final, didn't he? Yeah.
Absolutely. It never comes easy. We saw a little twitch from Jason Crump off gate 3 there, eager to get away. He hasn't made the start, tries to cut back at the back there. Here we see Hampel going very wide.
He was fast, wasn't he?
He was very fast.
Yep, Hampel put pressure on late on. But Greg Hancock is the winner of the Czech Republic Grand Prix. Many congratulations to the man from the USA. And great to see Tomáš Golub congratulating him as well. Terrific night of Speedway. Well done, that man, Greg Hancock. Fantastic to see. A great example to all younger riders He rode in the World Cup with the USA youngsters recently, Greg Hancock, with the likes of Ricky Wells. And here's the USA national anthem now. Many congratulations to Greg Herbie Hancock, the winner of the Czech Republic Grand Prix. And the leader of the World Championship now as well.
He's a popular winner, Greg. He's very popular amongst the riders as well as the fans.
Well, Thomas Golub finishes tonight on 12 points from his 5 rides, then he won the semi-final to make it 15, and 2 points from third place in the final makes him 17 points tonight.
And we see he gets the flowers from former rider Peter Ondrzejczyk.
Jarek Hampel, he's still in contention for the world title as well. It's taking shape nicely.
Here's former rider Ilya Taroma, very well known in Britain, worldwide.
And again, great to see the older guys, Hancock and Golub, on the podium here. There is a changing of the guard. The young guns are coming through, like Saifudinov and Holder, but they can still learn a lesson from these boys, Jan.
Absolutely, yeah. Big, nice big trophy there for Greg. Lovely crystal vase. Jenny will be happy with that one to put the flowers in. And here's another ex-rider, Roy Otto from Norway, who is, of course, the CCP president from the FIM.
Brilliant stuff. Delighted for Greg, one of the sport's nice guys, as we say. And a commanding display. He just had everything under control, didn't he, Annie? He looked absolutely comfortable with everything he was doing.
He looked smooth and fast all night long. Never really put a foot wrong. Never really had any hiccups along the way. Just went about his business and, yeah, 6 rides, 7 rides, dropped 1 point. That's amazing. Here's the champagne
time. Yep. Well done to the boys. It's been a terrific night of entertainment, a fitting lineup for the final. Jason Crump included in that, of course. And a great night of speedway. One of the better Prague Grand Prix that we've seen down the years, Jan.
Absolutely. Yeah, there was value for money. Absolutely. Every single race. There was passing, there was excitement, there was drama, there was incidents. What more can you ask for?
Yep. Superb stuff from Greg Hancock. Big crowd make their way home. Here's the latest championship standings then after 3 rounds of the World Speedway Championship now. Greg Hancock 47, Thomas Golub 41. 6 points the difference. Then you've got Hampel, who's put himself in contention on 36. Nicky Pedersen on 30. And Jason Crump in the top 8 now on 24. But Hancock with a 6-point lead over Golub. He'll be delighted with that going into Copenhagen and Cardiff, the next 2.
Absolutely, and it's the top 8 is the cut-off point for qualification for next year's Grand Prix series. So, I mean, there's all to play for. Like you said, it's only round 3 of 11 rounds. It's a long, long season ahead of us, but so far, so good.
Yeah. Crowd have enjoyed it, no doubt about that. We'll get some reaction from down in the pits very shortly. Thomas Golub in 3rd place. Let's hear what he's got to say now.
Thomas Golub, that was a great final. 4 very experienced riders.
It was a very good night for me in the very hard meeting in the last heat. And congratulations, Greg. It's a very fantastic race. And Jarek Hampel, third place for me is a good result all Grand Prix. Pozdrawiam Polaków, dobry wieczór, polski dzień prawie.
No, he said good evening, but that's about it.
Thomas, that puts you on 41 points, second to Greg in the championship, but the right end of the table.
It's a good place for me in the hard next week in the Copenhagen, in a good race, and I like this track in Copenhagen. I take more points and come back in the first place. I don't know.
I know that there's a lot of Polish people here supporting you tonight. A few words for them in Polish.
It's fantastic people and more people in the. Dziękujemy za przybycie i pozdrawiamy was. Dziękujemy za doping, jesteście wspaniali. Dziękuję bardzo.
Well, Thomas Gollop showing his appreciation to his fans. As Steve Brennan said, a lot of Polish supporters here tonight. Second place, Jarek Hampel, so it's a Polish 3-2 tonight. And Hampel back in contention for the world title. Here's Steve Brennan now.
Jarek Hampel, your sixth time in Prague, your sixth final. You like it here?
Yeah, sounds good, really. I like this place, I like this track, and before this meeting, I try to do everything the best what I can. I know there is a good line on this track, and of course, my team prepared good bikes, and my tuner prepared for me good engine, so I can go really fast on the long straight over here, so everything was really good.
And up to 36 points, third in the standings?
Yeah, it's okay, really. But still, it's a few rounds in front of us, so I need to work very hard if I want to stay in the top level. Wszystkich też chciałbym serdecznie, bardzo i gorąco pozdrowić i dziękuję serdecznie za doping.
Thank you, congratulations.
Thank you, thanks.
Good stuff from Jarek Hampel, and that result tonight, as we said earlier, puts him in contention for the world title. But Greg Hancock wins tonight and is the clear leader in the World Championship, and he is with Steve Brandon.
Greg Hancock, we talked about it yesterday, the 17th of May 1997, the 15th time here. You won the first one, you've just won another one.
Yeah, that's right. I've got great memories of this place, you know, and I've had some bad meetings too, but it feels great to stand on top of the podium in Prague. There's a lot of American people, or at least American fans here anyway tonight, and it feels great. So I got a long history here, and it's nice to be winning.
And 41 in 7 days' time, but you're leading the World Championship.
Top notch. Got to go for it. That's how it goes. I feel great. Everything's working good. My bikes are fantastic, and I'm not doing too bad myself.
And that was a pretty awesome final. I think, four of the most experienced, but most exciting guys in the series all going for it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's tough at the top there, and that final was extremely hard. But I just kept the focus, wanted to do it, and here I am.
Long way to go this year, but right where you want to be.
Exactly. It's definitely a long way to go. You can't. It's still a long way. Got a lot of hard work to do, but I'm ready for it, and just bring it on.
Great job tonight.
Thanks a lot.
Well, congratulations, Greg Hancock. Jan Steckman, enjoyed your company tonight. A terrific meeting.
It's been absolutely brilliant. It's been a good atmosphere. The meeting's been fantastic. Yep, top marks.
Thanks for joining us, Jan.
Thanks
Terrific stuff here in Prague, and what a night! Greg Hancock comes out on top. Sunshine beamed down on Prague in the Czech Republic for the third round of the 2011 World Speedway Championship, with the big guns in town vying for top spot. Respect paid to Matti Furjan, who died last weekend at the start of the meeting, and when the action did get underway, there were several riders who emerged head and shoulders above the rest. Gollop was one of them, Chris Holder and Jason Crump, all in tip-top form in the early stages, and Greg Hancock, a sign of things to come from him, with some spectacular starts as well. Crump overcame his shoulder injury from a fortnight ago to put on a fine show, particularly in the early stages, with 2 straight wins and then some second places. He was through to the semi-finals with few problems. Gollop looked masterful, sending an ominous message to his rivals. Janusz Kolodze surprisingly struggling for points, a fast rider who really should have done better on a track like this in Prague. Lucas Drummel wanted a piece of the action. He was only reserve and didn't get a ride in the end, so perhaps suggesting that he went for 40 winks. But Jason Crump continued his ride, and there with Matej Kush, the wild card, providing a shock win over Jason Crump, but they were his only points of the night. Hancock continued to march forward, and Emil Sayfutdinov crashed and was excluded in one ride, and that really put paid to any chances he had of getting through to the semi-finals. Gollop continued to pile on the pressure on his rivals as the action got hotter and hotter, as the qualification for the semi-finals got more and more keenly competitive. Antonio Limbach suffered a horrifying crash, but still managed to get up and come back for the action. but he still failed to qualify for the semi-finals. Hancock was through, Golub was through, the big guns were through, and it got through to a thrilling finale in the latter stages of the Czech Republic Grand Prix. And just as Golub thought his night was over, Chris Holder looped, lost control of the bike, gave Golub a second chance, and he took it with a victory. Then in the final itself, Hancock was masterful. Crump fell down in the early stages. Second time of asking, Hancock no mistake. Hampel put him under pressure, but Hancock is 6 points clear in the World Championship.